Hello, welcome to Breakfast Central on a Wednesday. So many things are happening. So many things happened from yesterday. I'm going to start off with good news because after this show, I'm just going to drive to an NNPC and just tell them, fill up. You know why? Because Mr. Dangote has decided after the Israeli-Iran skirmishes to bring down the pump price of petrol to guess what?
Wow.
802.
Wow. From 900 and something that it got to.
Yes,
wow.
820.
Back to what it was before.
But kudos has to go to Mr. President for removing subsidy and deregulating. So we are reacting to free market forces. Global price of crude oil. If it comes down, it comes down.
If it goes up, we go
just
up.
pray for world peace. Because anytime there's a skirmish in the Middle East, we tend to go up. So fill up.
I'm going to fill up. Thank you.
How I miss the days.
And then bad news. You give the good news first, then you sandwich, you put bad news
inside. So
yeah, the United States of America, USA, that has places like Minnesota, like
where you usually like to go to, you know.
Yes.
Where you usually like to go to.
You know what I'm saying?
No.
They decided that Nigerians, I mean, short of an outright ban, some people would rather just, you know what, they don't want to just ban us, exactly. Because what sort of, it's not, it costs a lot to travel that far. Single entry.
3 months visa.
Yeah, visa.
Okay, I have my thoughts on that, and I'll share that. Maybe I'll hear you both. But thank you so much, first of all, for joining us. In case this is your first time, I wonder where you've been. But you're very welcome to Breakfast Central. My name is Olive, MOD. I'll be co-hosting for the next 3 hours alongside this dapper gentleman as we go around the continent and look at some of the biggest stories. Also looking in Nigeria at the political scene with all the drama that's been happening. And it's our pleasure to bring you the latest update in that regard, as well as to take your reactions on social media via News Central, particularly on YouTube. I want to give a special shout out to Mokwin Chukwuemeka, who always joins us and drops his thoughts in YouTube chat box. Thank you very much for being part of our clan here at Breakfast Central.
That's right. We're going to say thank you so much for also tuning in to join us. I don't know if you guys felt the impact of the rain yesterday. Apparently, I was caught up in it. I got home about a few minutes past 11, I think 11:30. It was.
What were you doing outside?
The island was flooded. I was trying to make ends meet.
You should have bought
breadwinner.
You should buy a boat.
As a breadwinner. At some point, I almost thought my car would be submerged completely.
Are you serious? That bad?
It was intense. Whew. It wasn't on this side.
Heavy, like heavy. At some point, I was saying, okay, whatever will happen, maybe
you're on your way home.
On my way home. The traffic, it was something else. But then again, it goes to show that Benga spoke too soon yesterday when he said, oh, they said 3 days. This is day 1. I've not seen anything. It started yesterday in Lagos. I heard it rained heavily in Benin.
It's been raining. I hear it's been raining non-stop for days in Asaba.
Asaba, Delta State, Benin, some places in, I heard Kwara, I heard the north as well. So truly we should brace up for Nimet's statements. But then again, let's welcome you to Breakfast Central, Joe Hansen, and we're going to go back to the statement conversation Benga just started with, even though he just gave it with a sprinkle of salt. It's got to do with the United States. Yes, if you're one of those who plan to travel to the United States on a visa that's got 5-year stamp or 3-year stamp, whichever one, and you believe that, hey, I can go in, breeze out, and then sometimes people go in and stay for like 6 months, 7 months, and say...
6 months max.
Yeah, and then they say
6 months,
yeah, 6 months. And then they say, hey, what to do? You know what I mean? Yo, hey, what's going on? Hey, what's up, bro? How you doing? It's not going to be like that, too. If you go with what's up, it's the same what's up you will come back with. Anyway, that's the statement made. And it says the U.S. Department of State updated its reciprocal non-immigrant visa policy. Effective today, most non-immigrant and non-official visas for Nigerian citizens will be single entry with 3 months validity. Visas issued before July 8. Hey, why didn't I submit my own since 2025 remain unchanged?
Some of us, we deserve flogging because there are a number of us that felt like, man, I need to apply. And we just kept thinking, and to be honest, part of why I didn't apply initially was I just felt, you know what, just wait till August 15th because we're supposed to get an official memo to know whether we're going to be banned or not. And it's very easy for people to say, oh, let's stay back and build our country. What are you looking for in the US? I beg. We are far past that.
Yes.
A number of us,
No.
the way the world has become, a number of us have family members that are scattered in different parts of the world. You have friends that are scattered. All your family members, I can bet all your family members are not in Nigeria. Exactly. So you will travel to see family. Family will travel to see you for whatever reason. So I think, first of all the people who are like, let's stay back and build our country, what do we need the US for? First of all, rest. Secondly, reciprocal.
Sit down.
Yes. If you see that tweet, it's a reciprocal visa policy. Can we put up that tweet again? So it's what we call here aura for aura.
Yeah.
If you do me, I do you, but with X. Can our producers please put it up? He said, U.S. Department of State updated its reciprocal non-immigrant visa policy. Now come back. Reports have it that when the Americans want to come to Nigeria, that our process of issuing visas is beyond cumbersome, ridiculous, stringent, difficult. If you remember, years ago, the US used to give single entry visa for 2 years. After a while, they upgraded it to 5 years. Everybody was rejoicing and celebrating that, yeah, finally I can go and apply. In a country, in a world where it's, you return the good favor. If they have increased it to 5 years, you should be able to do the same. What we're hearing was that Americans who were coming into Nigeria were getting 3 months. So, first of all, if nothing, I think I respect and regard the US as a country that protects its citizens, a country that recognizes that if we're going to make life difficult for our citizens to come to your country, we're going to do the same for you. And I think that Nigeria can, yes, it's only fair. They're acting in the best interest of the Americans. And I'm hoping that there's something that Nigeria can take borrow a leaf from, to say, you know, anybody who treats Nigeria a certain type of way, we will measure that same energy aura for aura. That's
what is good for the goose is
good for Uganda. For Uganda. But that's the second one. But the third angle, looking at it from how this might negatively impact us, I wonder I'm not sure now, I haven't checked, but I wonder if the visa fees will come down. Because if you're paying visa fees that typically should last you for the duration of 5 years, now imagine having to pay that same amount of visa fees over and over again. Before now, if you needed to apply at the US Embassy for a date, they'll give you a date that is like 1 year later. So now with the regularity with which people will need, so we're going to need to apply for visas like 4 times more than what the previous rate was. What happens to the backlog?
It'll be generating a lot of money, because at the moment, as we speak, the United States' most expensive consulate building is going to be located. They've even done the groundbreaking in Eco-Atlantic. My money is there. Joe's money is there. I don't know if your money is there.
Bringer, you need to understand how it's set. It's Eco-Atlantic.
Okay, true.
Atlantic.
Close to the water.
Yeah, water.
So, I think
water.
Before y'all are putting up your American accents,
that's what
I'm trying to say here is, fam, that at the end of the day, it's going to be a revenue generation source. I mean, the US is going to make it.
Because 3 months is very short.
So imagine you need to go to the US 3-4 times a year. You have to apply each time.
3 years time.
So
29.
exactly, we're going to have we're going to have various applications. There's going to be a backlog. It's going to be cumbersome. I'm hoping, however, that with this, maybe it will not be faster.
The Ministry of Foreign Affairs could look at their internal processes and also reciprocate to avoid this.
Reciprocate how?
No, reciprocate by, you know, extending it.
Giving them 3.
Okay. And now we are talking.
We're giving them 5. Let's reciprocate by telling them that we don't care.
We can't do that.
Why are we deceiving ourselves? We don't care how.
You guys were quiet. I thought you say.
We don't care. No, that's why I said people that say, no, what do we know? Let's rest first of all.
Please.
You know,
we're
a global village.
Please.
And for bilateral relations, we've had, Nigeria and America has had bilateral relations for years. And this is something that I'm hoping that, I mean, with policies like this, they're not always very permanent. They change over time. They can look at the hardship, because this one will touch everybody. It's not like, politicians will have a different set.
I'm sure the Americans are not really happy with us. Mr. Trump tweeted just yesterday that countries that are aligned with BRICS
are getting
10% tariff.
US
And then the president was in Brazil for the BRICS summit, even though we're not a full member.
Yeah, affiliate members.
So they won't be really happy with us. So that Nigeria that is flirting with BRICS, make it 2 weeks visa.
he's already made 10% US tariff hike. Now we have the 3 months. It means if you breeze in, you gotta breeze out.
Guys,
I like it.
I like it.
You like it?
I like it.
Why do you like it?
I love it.
Yeah,
because
principle of reciprocity.
Yes, I like it because, one, for the US, it's good for them because they would vet more. It will help them in vetting who comes into the country and who goes out. It also helps in acceptability yes, those who actually are accepted to come into the country and will stay for that duration. Don't forget that there's ICE issue going on. So while you're working with the ICE issue, you're also going to focus on knowing who comes into your country and who leaves. I can tell you categorically that this is good because
it's good for the US.
Online, a lot of persons are not really happy about it. I don't know if we have some tweets that we could also
It's good for the US.
Let's
so far, it's not great for Nigeria.
I will tell you why it's good for Nigeria.
Okay,
I will tell you
let's
why.
do this.
Bashir Ahmad, you remember him? It was very outspoken during Muhammadu Buhari's.
You have to read it with this.
No, go ahead.
Nigeria operates an e-visa system where visitors, including US citizens, can apply online and receive approval within 1 to 2 days. If this sudden change is also based on reciprocity, then the US should also consider offering us an e-visa which is digitally accessible, fast, and also efficient. Let me mention that people have gone online to respond to him under these tweets. And if you look at the thread, they are dragging him like a better pass my neighbor generator. They say, first of all, apply for US visa, let us see. Because they say that he has made certain tweets that are, not respectful of human life and democracy, and so they're saying they've even been tagging the US that please, if this person applies for a fresh visa or renewal, please take note of his old tweets. This one you said we should open our social media accounts. Anyway, moving away from Bashir Ahmed, let's go now to Old
I have an issue with the reciprocal visa policy. It's fair for everyone involved. However, can the US also reciprocate by issuing visas to Nigerian passport holders in the same way that Nigerian issues visas to American passport holders? Currently, it seems that the US selectively chooses to issue visas to. Well, it's in between.
Regardless of whether the applicants meet all the necessary requirements.
It's
I
almost
understand
like
it's pain.
Yeah.
I mean, you know these processes when you go to the embassy and you see. I think there should be. I know there's a series online by a certain bank. What they do about visas, people who apply. But I think they should have a proper movie that will tell the stories of everybody who's going to apply for visas.
And you know what's very embarrassing? Or what's very humiliating? That the moment you are rejected, everybody there is going to know that you got a rejection.
They just give you a
like,
paper.
oh, sorry, we're not able to grant a visa at this time.
That's
you are moving. Once you just receive a certain color of envelope, you just know that you are going back to your house.
I've said it that if I don't receive an express invitation from the government of the United States, I don't have any business there. There are many USAs in this world. There are many beautiful places. We have United States of Aba, United States of Akwa Ibom, United States of Agungi, so many USAs. You see heaven? Heaven is the goal, my brother and sister. Don't be...
Please, I'm not with him. I'm not among them.
At US Embassy, I'm speaking.
If you will tag them, please, I'm not there. I have family and friends that I want to go and visit.
Now, he's just joking.
I'm not joking. I'm saying it with my full chest.
That's why I'm saying that as they're watching it too. They should just separate us like this.
Mr. Trump is only going to be there for 4 years. He can't go for a third term.
To be honest,
and,
the truth is things may change even before the end of the Trump era. It's just that the coming of President Trump has shifted a lot of things in America.
And I like the fact that, like I said, it's good for Nigeria. It's also good for America. It's good for Nigeria. One, a lot of Nigerians have called for a quick repair or reform of Nigeria, as it were, as a country. We have cases where people can travel into the United States and come out like water. Let's use our, Modena water statement so people understand, travel in our water. And people are saying that, yes, maybe at some point, this will start to give the Nigerian government a sense of understanding that the foreign or the Western world are not indeed keen on you.
But the elites that will fix Nigerian government, it doesn't affect them.
It does.
Some of them even have American citizenship.
I wanted to say that the ones, I initially said it doesn't affect politicians, but I take it back. Because some of them either have gotten for citizenship in America, or they've gotten to one of all these other Kitts and Nevis, and they've gotten all these other passports.
Olive, I think, like I said, what I'm going to is, it's also a wake-up call. That listen, the Western world, they're tightening their laws, they're reforming, they're changing everything. The UK is reviewing every now and then.
But so the world is bigger than UK
we
and the United States.
But where do your leaders regularly go to? Where do they regularly go to?
Well, you say it's a wake-up call. When we had Arise to Compatriots inside our national anthem, they don't wake up then.
But it's a wake-up call, because even Dubai now, they're saying that's why a balance of 10,000 USD.
Dubai has been there for a while.
You have 10,000 $100,000.
And then just to apply, even though the federal government has said that Dubai, you can now go into Dubai, that was, I'm sorry to say clearly, that was false.
It was Zobo.
It was false.
It was a Zobo. A cold Zobo. A very chilled Zobo.
Even the Dubai that you want to go to, it's tough. What I'm trying to say is, imagine 16 countries apply these laws or policies and tighten their entry or visa policies.
They never tighten
it starts to give you an indication that, listen, if Nigerians, you know one thing, Benga, let me say one thing here. Whether we all like it or not, those who are watching us now, those who are pre-Nigerians, and I'll say it here clearly, the word Nigeria, I've said it in my mind many times, is divided into two, Niger and Ria. Niger is for those who have money, those who are doing very well in the country, both the politicians, those who are eating heavy, those who are rich, and so on. Ria is for the one who does not have justice, cannot speak up, is beaten, does not have money, is poor. So the thing about Nigeria is, if it starts to touch Niger, you would see that everybody would wake up and say, no, this is too much. Take for instance the power issue. Take for instance Bandi, were not the rich people coming out carrying placards for the first time saying we no go grass. So it taught you to. That is how I think this will happen. If it starts to go around, imagine a rich uncle sending his son or brother to go there, they deny him, and then they tell him 3 months. It's going to affect them because some of them have businesses in America. They're now thinking, how are we going to send this person to go handle that business? He's old. They're 68. They're 90. How are they going to stay there?
They'll take the other route and get a passport.
My other concern in this regard is I'm not quite sure how this affects the individuals who have tried to make a life for themselves, building businesses in Nigeria, realize maybe it's not work for them, or even if it's working, decided to expand the franchise of their business to America. I don't think they deserve to suffer because of the policies that have been made. But maybe, I mean, that may not affect them because they will have a different kind of visa. I'm not sure it's the tourism visa. I'm certain it's not the tourism visa they're working with. But I don't know how this affects students. Because we've seen in the past 2 years a number of, I don't know how that affects them. But anyway, we hope that this is something that the Nigerian and the American authorities, I know that there's still negotiations and interactions, that they can go back into meetings and find a way in which this can be beneficial to both parties. We've said this over and over again. The process of application for visas, first of all, I find it very... I don't know the actual word, but I find it exhausting, and in some cases I find it very humiliating. Because you go to certain countries and you want to apply for visa and all the applications are like this. So imagine having to go through that process over. Yes, the US one has been, digitized and all. You do everything online. There's some that you have to go with like a lot. I remember I was going to Ireland. I got to TLS. I be TLS, I be VFS. I got there, they're like, oh, sorry, you made a mistake. You have to start your application over again. I just said, nah, peace out, I'm done. And I left, I didn't go back. So it gets really exhausting. I look forward to us being able to travel and within the continent as freely as possible, and then as well as outside the continent. We also need to do something
about image as Nigerians. And one of the reasons why the Netherlands will never win any football competition is because of my $100 I took in Malaysia so many years ago. And they rejected me after like 30 minutes. How am I as a student? How am I supposed to have landed property? I showed you my admission letter. I showed you I was studying in this country. The third country, the country I was going to, Romania, looked at my documents, gave me a visa. I was only going to transit in your airport. I was going to be in your airport for a few hours. And they rejected me.
So how did you end up doing it?
I mean, I had to fly through Singapore and Istanbul. But they took my $100. It's like taking $100.
Istanbul, did you have a lot of, many hours layover?
No, not really.
Because that one says another one.
Do you know, since that day, I laid a curse on them. That's why they never won anything.
That's okay.
So you should give me my $100.
Let's move to
a big story now. Just in case you do not know, if you're one of those who have been following closely, well, let's tell you this, that in Nigeria now, starting from 2026, if 5 million lands in your account, the bank will alert the federal government. That's part of the tax reforms. So if you are one who carries out a business or you engage in businesses and you have 5 million coming to your account, every month, we're trying to break it down for you so you understand. The bank's duty is to alert the federal government so that they
Johnson has over 5 million in his account this month.
It has been coming. By God's grace, yes.
Amen.
Consistent. But they will tell federal government, come and see his account of 5 million. Then the federal government will step in and say, okay, who are you? Who are you?
Can we know you? And collect their cost.
Okay, have you paid your tax? and then they take their taxes. This has been lauded as one of the best decisions to make inside the reforms bills, because they say there are many Nigerians, a plethora in English language, that receive bakam in their accounts, and the government has no idea or inkling on how these monies go into the account and then go out. The funny thing about this are the tweets that I saw. I couldn't hold my stomach. I don't know if I
4.99 million. 4.9 million.
I don't know if you saw those tweets. I'm like, what is going on? Nigerians, we always find a way around it. But that's the update, though. That's what the federal government is doing. Banks report transactions above 5 million naira monthly.
I mean, it's
and
one of the
development, whether you like it or not.
The current president is celebrated was when he was governor of Lagos. They had this fallout with President Olusegun Obasanjo then. He withdrew the allocation of Lagos State, and they were forced to innovate. You either sink or swim. So Lagos State swam. They created the Lagos Internal LIRS, and it was able to, generate and survive even without the federal allocation from Abuja, and I think is applying the same policy to the federal government. But my own grouse, and I'm sure I speak for a lot of Nigerians, is the use of this extra funds, because they've said the monies you've saved from subsidy, what was it used for?
Yes, they replied yesterday.
Said it was
used to fix roads and infrastructure
projects. But if you drive around Lagos, I mean, you're wondering where these infrastructure
this morning
projects are.
Heaven help me.
It's really, really sad.
You see, that thing you said is
prides
very
itself
valid.
as a center of excellence. There's really very few things that are excellent about Lagos.
You see that thing that you said about the infrastructure. They said easy for infrastructure, but we had infrastructure. At this point, there's something that my church does that I applauded so much. I think we had a meeting last week, and we call it like a family meeting, and in my church, they're running you through how the church has been run, how much has come into the church account, what they use the money for. So it's some sort of accountability and transparency. We gave to this NGO, we gave to this fund, we did this, we did that. When members have issues, some members, they're able to sort it out from the funds that the church has received. And I thought that was brilliant, and accountability at its finest. And I wish that the government would implement that as well. When it comes to the payment of tax, in the UK, for example, you would see a number of them talking about how taxation is such a big deal, the high taxation rates, the harder, and in certain capitalist countries, the harder you work, the harder you're being taxed. However, you look at all the other things, and you can see where your money is going. You can see
roads,
that
lights,
at the train station,
trains,
you don't need to, for example, if you live in the UK, you don't need to own a car. It's even more expensive for you in some situations because of parking and all that. But you can plan your life with the train stations, right? You can see that you have access to electricity steadily. You pay for what you use. Yes, you are paying for a lot of the things, but the service is available. Can we say the same here? Can we say that even when they implement this, that we're going to see that change? Unfortunately, because of the trust deficit that exists in our country, not a lot of people are very excited or hopeful that these will be channeled into the right sources. Every time we've heard of the Abacha loot, that every year is like someone is sending us money,
and then
and then people can't. You can't
always tell us
for what
to
it's
quote our
used
quote,
for.
like their vehicles don't expire. Their vehicles don't expire, but every legislative session
They are changing vehicles.
Vehicles, and these vehicles don't come cheap.
I don't know if we have the tweet in response to this story.
And it's not like they're using innocent. They are still getting Prados and the likes.
Yeah, it's that deep.
Some people say it's rich people's problem, but the truth is we touch everybody. These will touch everybody. We will just count the days and the months up until next year to see what this will mean. And the implication of this would be for those of us who are paying rent. Some people are paying rent more than 5 million. Your landlord is going to factor in his tax into the rent.
There's
going to be an increase in the payment of rent. So there's going to be an increase invariably in cost of living. As a service provider, I will charge you more because I will add tax because I know they're going to tax me.
So that's where they are also trying to stop you from doing that, because they're saying that, take for instance, if your service, somebody calls and says, oh, Olive, I want you to MC my event in Dubai, and you say, okay, my fees are 5 million. They transfer the 5 million to your account. they are also, is either you tax them through your company by ensuring that they also pay the value-added tax of 5 million into that same account. So both of them would come in as a whole. Then you can now remit the value-added tax to the federal
bring somebody to come and speak to us, someone from FIRS come and speak to us.
I'm just telling you that's what's going to happen.
Of this.
But if you, whether you like it or not, as long as it's 5 million. But then again, the biggest question I have concerning this, which I agree with you, if you bring someone, is they said monthly. So my question would be, is it a one-off if I receive 5 million today?
No, for every 5 million
next month. Is it just, or is there like a tranche of 6 months? It's still sketchy. That's the question I want to ask them, because it says if you have, monthly.
If you have a transaction of 6 million and you don't remove it and it extends to next month,
exactly.
I don't think they do a fresh charge.
And then again, so these are the, well, I'm sure it will be clear as
they've given the bankers extra work to do.
We'll give it. Anyway, I think this is where we'll wrap up our wake-up conversations, because
we actually still have one in the southeastern part of Nigeria, but there's a video where Governor Soludo has said that 99% of Southeast kidnappers, they're Igbos. Let's look at this video.
For 3 years and 3 months, okay? If we have arrested 100 criminals, non-mafia, kidnappers, and so on and so forth, 99.99% of them will mark Igbo. Did you hear me right? I said 99.99% of them will mark Igbo. So these things are unmade, because that was part of the lie that was put in propaganda. They are into kidnapping because it is the next lucrative business after Yahoo and drug. The next one for find disabled, kidnapping. 99.99% of all the criminals, kidnappers, and so on that were arrested so far, Igbos are the ones kidnapping Igbos, they're the ones killing Igbos. All these camps.
Yeah, and that statement by Governor Soludo has garnered different reactions. There are some people that say to him, why are you throwing your own people under the bus? That those who say he's positioning for federal acceptance because he's doing this to serve as eye service. Others are saying, if this, what he's saying is the truth, then maybe that calls for internal reflection. We need to look back and think of what we can do better. Let's take some of the tweets. He says, we know the game Soludo is playing. He started with slandering P2B, now trying to change the narrative on insecurity in the East. Well, that's his own opinion. We have many people like him who try to buy favor by pushing Igbo people under the bus. The game is not the same again. That's from Ogadigi. Last 3 years ago, my cousin and his friends were kidnapped nearby our town in Anambra. I was the one that took the ransom to them. We communicate in Hausa language. Unknown to them, I can also understand and speak Fufude, that's in Fulani language. The sum of 10 million naira was paid. That's another one says, they always target on Fulani herdsmen. Adek Smith was the one who said that. Next tweet, I believe that's all the tweet that we have. So when it comes to insecurity, I think the challenge we've had as a nation is, first of all, the labeling that we put on what's happening. These people, a kidnapper is a kidnapper regardless of where they're from, whether they're from the north, from the south, east, or west. They're kidnappers and they deserve to be treated in the way that kidnappers should be treated. Crime should be solved, regardless of where they're from. So I think the issue is, and the concern and challenge a lot of people are having about this is, sometimes, even with the cases where we say Fulani herdsmen, that you're adding a tribal coloration because you're assuming or putting out the mindset that once they're Fulani, they're herdsmen, whereas the truth is they're not all necessarily herdsmen.
It's a conversation we're going to have later on. I think the governor of the state is also, like they call them, the security officer of the state. So he's privy, or privy, like some would like to use the word, to the information that many don't have. So at this point, I don't think it's fair on other side to just judge him. He knows what he knows.
Yeah.
He knows what he knows.
Security
and
reports.
there are also
the chief
reports.
executive,
Remember the cases of Ebubeagu and what happened, the people they caught and so on. So it's a lot. I don't think if we delve into this, we wouldn't really have time to break it down. But let's bring to you what our top stories are for today here on Breakfast Central. Today on the show, FCTA reacts to leaked documents. Remember yesterday we did have Dijadeoji who joined us, and we have a reaction to that. Federal government sets 16 years as age limit for university admission. Is this a good or bad thing? And how can you compare this to other saner climes? Well, Ed, News Central's Town Hall series in Benue State. Ahead of that, we'll be looking into the Town Hall series and Senate on Natasha House bill. Well, we'll also look at some of the conversations as well concerning if Natasha showed up yesterday and every single thing you need to know about the National Assembly. Stay with us.
The Department of State Services has heightened security around the Kofar Kudu Palace in Kano State following an attack on the official residence of the Emir of Kano, Mohammed Sanusi II. This comes after violence erupted in the area, who looks suspected to be loyal to the deposed Emir, Aminu Ado Bayero. Some members of staff of the palace and members and family of Mohammed Sanusi say that they are still in shock over the incident and call on the state government to ensure the arrest of those complicit.
An attack on the Kofar Kudu Palace of the Emir, Mohammed Sanusi II. Another indication of the unresolved emirate crisis in Kano State. Many describe the attack as an abuse of the long-standing culture of Kano and an affront on the sanctity of the well-revered palace. Staff and residents of the palace present at the time of the attack gave details of the event that transpired.
So actually abun da ya faru shine akwai lokacin da shi mai martaba Alhaji Aminu Ado Bayero zai wuce sai da tawagas suka taho akwai bindiga da suke da can baya to mutane da yawa sun tsammanin mai martaba Sanusi ne ya dawo Halifa Muhammad Sanusi ya dawo to mutane da yawa suka gudu domin su zo su gaishe shi so mutane da yawa shi suka mai martaba bane suka ya dawo suka ga Alhaji Aminu Ado Bayero ne wasu suka koma so akwai masoyansa suka rugo suka ringa kiran yan uwansu su ma su zo su gaishe da shi cewa shine ba Halifa bane so ba tam da suka tsallako akwai zuga da shi mai martaba Alhaji Aminu taho da su akwai yiwuwar cewa su basu gane wa'annan cewa masoyansa bane saboda kai suka pushin din su back su kuma suka cewa ƙarya ne su ma masoyin Aminu ne so that's what happened to the next thing sai kuma sai ga jefe suka fasa motoci da dakunan duk abin da ke wurin da wukake suka yanka abin da duk za ka gani a wurin da kai ma gani
gaskiya ya kamata mai girma gwamna ya dauki mataki akan wannan abu da ake yi bai kamata a ce ya zauna ya shiru ya zuba wasu bata gari ido su zo suna aikata abu ba.
Ibrahim Isa, a senior aide to Sanusi Lamido, exonerated his principal, calling him a lover of God, determined to maintain peace, saying that he will never respond to any form of violence.
Kamar yadda kuka sani mai martaba Muhammadu Sanusi Khalifa masoyin zaman lafiya ne wannan yasa a duk sanda zai hawa wanda ya kama sai an bi ta gidan Nasarawa Allah saka wa sarki da alkhairi yakan bada umarni ba wai shawara ba cewa lalle a kauce mu wannan hanyar komin yanda za a sai an ga an kauce mu wannan inda za a samu fitina.
For the first time since the beginning of the emirate crisis, the Kofar Kudu Palace is witnessing an increase in the number of security personnel, including the secret police who have deployed men and equipment to maintain law and order. In Kofar Kudu Palace, Kano, for News Central, Emmanuel Bagudu.
Thank you for that interesting package. From correspondent to Kano, Emmanuel Bagudu, reports regional stands that some sense of normalcy has returned to the ancient city of Kano. You know, we always talk about this factional party chairman, this factional leader, this factional this, and it's sad to see that we're having factional emirs too, and it's taken an ugly turn. But hopefully, the situation will return to normal.
Absolutely, we certainly want the best for that, so that leadership can go ahead smoothly. Let's now turn our focus to another issue, another sector. This time around is education, and we're looking at an issue that has stirred up debates across Nigeria's education sector. The federal government has officially mandated that the minimum age for university admission in Nigeria is now 16 years. Nigeria's Minister of Education, Dr. Tunji Alausa, announced this on Tuesday during the 2025 policy meeting of the Joint Admissions and Matriculation Board held in Abuja.
Dr. Alausa, while declaring the meeting open, emphasized that the age benchmark was now official and not negotiable. He warned that any admission carried out outside the central admissions processing system would be considered illegal.
Well, he also explained that the decision was guided by the need to strike a balance between academic readiness and cognitive maturity. What does this mean for thousands of students who finished secondary school early? And are we prioritizing maturity over merit? Well, let's talk about this as team lead and EIC Dev reporting joins us here this morning. We do have Mr. Majid Alabi. He's here with us as well. And by the way, he's also a senior journalist. So I'm sure you've been investigating this, this very interesting development. Can you shed more light on what this means, especially for the last question we just highlighted, for those who are likely to get into the tertiary education or system at a very younger age? Are they going to wait?
Yeah, thank you so much. Good morning, everyone, and thank you for having me again and again. When you look at the age limit set, you will notice, I don't know, probably when you attended primary school, you will have seen that there was a time that except they measure your maturity by placing your hand here, and
that was in the
Benga's time.
So it was what actually what made them to decide on whether you are qualified to go into school or not. But the system of education recognizes 6334. That is 6 years in primary school, 3 years in junior secondary school, then 3 years in senior secondary school. Unfortunately, because so many factors combine to force parents to want to push their kids to actually probably leave school at 13 or 14. And what are these conditions? You realize that because when there is no strict monitoring, no compliance, so schools now struggle to run primary 6, especially private schools. Even if you are attending public schools, they pull you out at primary 4, primary 5. They want you to go and sit common entrance, and you gain admission to...
primary 4, have you completed the syllabus?
That is what we are saying, that why parents are doing that. There are so many reasons for that. But most importantly is the fact that you understand that when you are not sure of when your children are going to leave tertiary institutions, one, for reasons of strike, for reasons of delay, there could be anything. So when you are going for a 4-year course, you can eventually spend 7 years. So the problem is that because people want to cut that corner, they push their kids to go in. But it's not that when you say 16 years, this is actually the global standard. Ordinarily, if you follow what was set originally, you can't finish schools until primary and secondary school. You can't finish until around 16, 17, 18. But today, you see 14-year-olds sitting SSE examination. So that is not ideal.
I think there's this sense of pride for parents, and I don't know where it's coming from. I think it's a false sense of pride. So, oh, my child has already finished. And then, please, where did we get this idea of double promotion from? And at what point do you double promote a student? We know they are gifted students. We know there are students that are top of their class. But what's the idea behind double promotion? Because it's one of the reasons why children end up in university at, before 16.
Yeah, it is because the government that is supposed to set standard actually abandoned its responsibility. And that is why you see most schools, the bulk of the students are actually trained by private schools. Because you have allowed these mushroom institutions who value profit over merit. So, in fact, if you look at it, in schools these days, in some private schools these days, if parents don't tip teachers, such children in school are either neglected, they don't allow them to take part in certain things because the schools already they already prioritize profit. The teachers themselves are looking for means to survive because they are not properly paid. So everybody is looking at how to gain from the system. And in order to impress some parents, teachers sometimes, they want to, as school owners, they want to say, oh, this one can be promoted twice because the parents are probably part of the major sponsors of their events when they have inter-house sports. And that's why you see a lot of programs in schools these days, cultural events, cooking days, sporting events, just to make the money you don't want to pay. By hiking the school fees, you pay it. Sometimes they say open day, when you are coming for open day, you must come with, at least your pocket must be filled. You will see the teachers, they are already sending messages. Open day is not for you to come and check your the children performance. It's actually to come and see the teachers because you can't leave this class without giving them something.
So this corruption that we're talking about in the political landscape, this is probably where it started because already teaching them from the young age and how to cut corners. But we'll come back to talk about education. I want us to veer off a little bit and we'll come back. At this time, we're going to be looking at healthcare, and healthcare not in Nigeria but in South Africa, as we have a developing story with our correspondent on standby. Now, the report is that anti-migrant protesters are taking over parts of South Africa. What they're asking for is that there be a regulation in terms of healthcare. Their complaint is that the South Africans be prioritized for economic opportunities and services such as healthcare over undocumented migrants whom they want deported. They contend that foreign nationals are burdening the country's health systems to the detriment of the locals. News Central's Bongani Siziba is in one of the clinics this morning, and she'll be bringing us the latest update in that regard. Good morning, Bongani. Where are you? We see that there's a queue behind you. What's the latest update in this regard?
Also, good morning to our viewers at home. I am at GP's clinic that is in the heart of Johannesburg. As you can see behind me, if I can move away from the shot and ask my colleague Smonelo Mkasibe to just show you the queue that is here. We have people, rather patients, who are waiting to go inside the clinic. Most of them are South Africans. Why most of those that are in this queue are South Africans is because Operation Dudula is here. I'll also ask my colleague Smonelo Kasiwe to show you Operation Dudula standing close by the gate, chasing away foreigners who are coming here to seek for medical attention. What they are saying, their grievances, is that foreign nationals are taking up this space, especially when it comes to the clinics. They are coming in their numbers and are not allowing South Africans to get medication. And the other point is that also they say that foreigners, they come here, they get medication and they go and sell this medication to their countries, which makes South Africans not getting enough medication. But I have some members here, as you can see, of the Dudula who are standing by this gate. They don't want foreigners to go in. But let me just speak to some of them and hear why they are here and why they are chasing away foreigners. Sawubona bhuti unjani?
Ngiyaphila ninjani?
Why are you here today?
Today we're trying to solve all the problems around clinics in GP's town. Sizama ukuklina yonke indawo njengoba nibona. Njengoba nibona namhlanje kunje e-GP clinic. Kungcolile i-GP clinic, kungcolisa abantu bangaphandle, zonke lezi zinto abazenzayo azikho right. Babamgunzi. Babulala abantu, badayisa ama-drugs. Bathatha amaphilisi emakliniki bewadayisa ngakubo. Nibonile nani la kuma-social media bewathatha amakliniki bewahambisa emazweni abo. Kuningi okurong abakwenzayo. Especially amaZimbabwe abulala abantu, olaba baseMalawi basuke eMalawi bekhulelwe bezothatha medication abantwana bagcina bengayitholi, ogogo begcina bengayitholi. Nangu nje omunye ugogo la eduze kwami ukhona na i-medication gcina engakwazi ukuyithola mayeze la e-GP clinic, ube complaina nje last week uyimember yeDudula akakwazi ukuthola i-medication yakhe ngendlela efanele. Baningi abantu abacomplainayo as usi namhlanje ubona ukuthi abantu abaningi babambe ulayini, abantu bakithi, abantu bangaphandle abaningi sibakhiphile, abanye bahambile, abanye nabalapha phesheya bamile abafuna ukuhamba ngoba befuna ukusebenzisa iklinikhi yase-GP basuka eKensington basuka etown basuka eBedrams basuka eMalvern basuka ngathi nje yonke indawo.
So basically, Olive, what he's saying is that foreign nationals are coming here, taking over South Africans' jobs, taking over the clinics.
Okay, I'm hoping that we can still reconnect with our correspondent, Bongani Siziba. I think she was breaking down what she heard from the young man she spoke with. Yes.
I wish we could have her. I'm hoping that we can still reconnect with her so that we can put a lead on that conversation. But then this is not the first time that we hear this happening in South Africa. You know, this is not the first time we're hearing of them advocating for South Africans and saying that South Africans should be put first. Here they're saying that the foreign nationals would come, take their medication to the detriment of the South Africans. The South Africans don't even have enough for themselves, and that the foreign nationals will take this medication and also go out to sell it. You know, so I'm hoping that we can still reconnect with Bongani. Apparently these men, the people you can see with the military hats standing to the corner of the gate, are there to ensure that no foreign national comes to get treatment. I wonder what, you know, the measures they apply to know
they're members of what you call Operation Dudula. Yes, yeah. And they've been accused of xenophobia, and they said, look, the South African government doesn't really like them. They say, look, we're the government and we enforce the laws of the Republic of South Africa. We don't need the third party to enforce these laws. And they probably have political motivations behind them.
All right.
But also, just so I like that, Bongani, are you there? Is she back? Oh.
All right.
Well, this is a very, very interesting conversation I would look forward to have. Maybe if Bongani can reconnect with us later on in the course of the breakfast show, I would like to continue the conversation before we stopped the Operation Dudula. We did see the representatives there saying that, I mean, they're very strong, and they're strong voice in South Africa against immigration, and they've also said that they do not like the fact that South Africa's borders are porous, and therefore they would do anything possible to ensure that you know, foreigners do not get the benefits that duly belongs to South Africans. But let's come back home. Hopefully we'll get to reconnect again with our correspondent.
Bongani is back. All right. Let's hear from her.
All right, Bongani, go ahead. You were explaining what you heard from the young man you interviewed.
Yeah, but let me just bring in some of the foreign nationals who've been chased away from this clinic, just to hear what they think and their views on this. Good morning, ma'am. Please tell us what happened here.
They're chasing us. They said they don't want to help foreigners.
Why are they saying so?
No, we don't know. Them, they know.
And you as a foreigner, what do you have to say about all this?
We are not happy about this, because there is no any country that they can stay without foreigners. It's not good to chase us, and we don't know how they feel for the kids. Even them, the one they are chasing us, there is women there, and they gave birth. How do they feel? It's shame. Why they chasing us? They are not the one they buying medical and put in the clinics or hospitals. It's government most. Even us we're paying, they said taxes, even us we're paying, because we're buying things, we're doing things here. We're not in Malawi, we don't do our things in Malawi, we're doing here. You see? So this thing is very tough and hard, because you know everything is not working. Nowadays, since they start this thing, the business are down. So we can't manage to take the kids to the private doctors. Yes.
There you have it. Benga, also foreign nationals are saying that they are not happy about what Operation Dudula and other civil organizations are doing to chase them away from the clinics. Like this guy from Operation Dudula was saying that these foreign nationals, they are occupying every space in South Africa, and they want the government of South Africa to chase the foreigners away. They are not happy with the foreigners, but as you have seen, if I'll ask again my camera guy to show you the queues that are here, and these foreign nationals, as you can see, these women are now leaving this place. They couldn't get the medication, and it's happening not only at this clinic, but many clinics across in Johannesburg. We saw something happening again in Durban yesterday, foreign nationals being chased away from clinics and also being chased away from workplaces. We have seen that civil organizations, South Africans, are not happy about foreign nationals in South Africa. It's back to you now.
Thank you, Bongani, for bringing a balanced approach to the conversation, and hearing not just from the Operation Dudula advocates, but also from the foreigners who have unfortunately been denied access to healthcare. I think the final question I would have to ask would be, have we gotten any response from the government regarding this? What is the government saying?
Well, it seems we have not been able to establish Bongani's response in that communication. But then again, like I rightly said, we try as much as possible to track back on that very interesting story. But let's come back to the studio. We're talking about the 16 years that has been indeed the final age gap, we'll put it that way, or you say the age limit that the federal government has put in place for anyone who wants to attend or go to a tertiary institution. We do have our guest here, Mr. Majid Alabi, who's been talking about it. Before we went to South Africa, you were making a very interesting point that for some of us who pay these levies, cultural day, and so on and so forth,
there's
so many of
International Day. You start looking for. One of my friends told me that. Where can I buy Chinese costume for my daughter?
Exactly. International Day and so on. How does that tie with the fact that this age limit would help to curb a lot of, what would I call it? A lot of differences or idiosyncrasies or whatever they call it.
Excesses?
Excesses better.
Yeah, the age limit has always been there. There are institutions that will never admit anybody below 16. One, for some reasons. There are usually schools for the gifted. Those are special schools. You don't allow, because they are not supposed to be treated. You don't have a 13-year-old who is qualified to enter into tertiary institutions. There are specific schools meant for them. They are supposed to be treated differently. What the government is saying, you could recollect that the former minister, Adamu, actually said 18. That was what created the kind of the noise that we had before he was removed. Why he insisted on 18 was because he looked at the policy, the kind of the policy, education policy that we run, 6334. If you say you clock 6 before you gain admission into primary, before you enroll in primary, by the time you finish primary, you are already 12, you are expected to be 12 because you spend another 6 years in primary. After then, you spend another 6 years in secondary school, junior secondary school and senior secondary school. So at the end of the day, you get to 18. But they have realized that at 8 years, students' pupils are sitting common entrance. There was a particular year that we monitored, and the minister was also saying, look, how old are you? And the baby said, and the pupil said, I'm just 8. 8 sitting common entrance. At what age did you enter primary school? So some of these kids are put out early enough. And that is why when they gain admission into schools, they are unable to resist temptations. They are unable to resist bullying. They are unable to resist harassment because they are not mature. So there is this, when you talk about cognitive, whatever, you look at, when you speak to psychologists, they tell you what it takes to actually get to a level that you can do certain things.
But if they're academically matured enough to pass the entrance exam, pass JAM, shouldn't they be allowed?
No, it's not just about passing
the university is a test of your intellectual assessment, and if they've
so that is why universities will say we are awarding, tertiary institutions will say they are awarding you certificates based not just on your academic excellence, but also moral. Okay. There are so many things that you cannot say. When you go abroad, the age of admission, even if you are taking your children that are below 18, probably you are going to sign on that ticket. Yes, there are people who send their children abroad, once they are below 18, you sign an undertaking that I will be responsible, there will be a guardian, there will be this. In fact, their result will be sent to you directly as the parent, as the guardian, because they believe that that age of maturity is not there. We always say it when you go to Finland, there is no competitive exam for any child until the age of 16. That is where they run. I know of a kid who started there, ordinarily our mates, they are currently in SS1, no, going to SS2. But she's still in basic 9 or something like that, just like in primary 6. And the lady was in Habibi because they relocated from Nigeria. And this is a girl who was already approaching SS, our mates, they are already going to SS2 now. We rush here because there is no order, number one. Number two, because people are afraid of what happens to their kids tomorrow. Because by the time you want to apply for a job, the restrictions are already there. The age restriction. If you are above 25, if you are below, if you are above 25, don't apply. Even government jobs. Yes. And these are people who have not even left school at 30. So you see a lot of people cutting corners because they want to. You see people not even declaring their real age. They are going to tell you this football age, this civil service age. This is so. That is the kind of the system that we have created. If we maintain the system and there is sanity. The same way ASU has not gone on strike or SAN on or whatever, they actually attempted it yesterday, but it was at least savage. So if we run a system that you can say, I'm entering school at this time, it is sure, at least without any natural disaster or whatever, you can finish by in 4 years. 4 years. I spent about 7 years to run my degree.
What university?
I attended the only African university, that's Obafemi Awolowo University.
Oh, where are you?
Yeah.
Great effect.
Great. So when I attended, you understand, though there were different reasons. The first year we entered, probably 2000. So 99, 2000. We were supposed to even gain admission 1999. We did not. So we waited for 1 year after sitting exam. By the 1 year when we entered, we spent the first break we had was 6 months at a stretch because the lecturer said no, they were going to fix this. During that period, there was a national ASU strike. And the next thing was that another 5 months. So we spent 11 months at home, at a stretch. And because some of us were in the student union without doing anything, so we were suspended for another 4 academic semesters, we were in courts, going to... So what I'm saying in essence is that we are not sure of your tomorrow. So Nigerians are ready to cut corners. Parents are ready to support them to cut that corner because they are also paying through their nose, especially those who are going to private primary and secondary school. So if I'm going to pay 500,000 for my kid and he's going to now escape primary 6, that 1,000 naira is going to save. It's going to be saved. It's going to be with me. So those are some of the reasons. If the public schools are made and the standard there, go to public schools, and the standard there is good, people are going to abide by all this. And that's why what you are going to see next tomorrow is that immediately a child is born and they see signs that this one is going to be fast, people are going to still get affidavit, they are going to change their date of birth, they are going to, because you cannot tell me if my child is 13 and I'm claiming that he's 16 and the evidence shows certificate, birth certificate and everything, you are still going to accept it. Even when in actual fact, that child is either 14 or 13.
So.
Okay, but you're okay with the fact that it's 16 and not 18, right?
Yeah, the 16 is okay when you look at it. The 16 years is okay because when you look at it, Nigerians are not, it is away from what we used to have. In those days, Nigerians no longer compete with Nigerians. They are competing with the global standard. When you have the child, and unlike your time, when you do not have technology that will be able to make things easy for you. You know, probably before now, you have to be searching for libraries all over the places, community library, this library, to even get books. But all these things are available at their fingertips. If we use technology appropriately, these kids are already wizards before they even start at all. So they are already prepared for the future that they are having. So if we can manage that and you can now guide them, that maturity is where the parents should now come. It's not that you just throw. I'm always surprised that parents who have the time still want to free themselves and they throw their children in boarding school. That is not ideal.
It's a sort of daycare for them.
Yeah, so it's like a daycare. But go to some of these boarding schools. That is where you have a lot of bad culture. You have a lot of
vices, yes.
so many problems.
In defense of those parents, it's not every parent that, is sending their child to boarding school because they don't want to be directly involved. Because what boarding school ought to be, or what it was today, it was a place where they felt like you can learn community and learn certain strong educational... Exactly. You learn how to be independent. You're not tethered to your parents. So in defense,
I agree. That's why I said not everybody. There are parents that and in the same time, in fact, full housewife. And I was surprised that this person took the kids in the same Abuja, took the kids to a boarding school in the same Abuja. But what did we get at the end of the day? Fortunately or unfortunately, at a time when they had to relocate abroad, this boy was already completely spoiled. They had to return the boy from Canada back to Nigeria. And the father was now looking for salvation everywhere. It's a divine intervention. Because at a time when there's nothing that compares parenting. It is you that understand your kid. Yeah. But when we abandon the responsibility of parents to the teachers in school, to the caregivers, then you don't go and check. Most of these kids, when they go to school, some of them, when they are returning at the end of the term, most of them have lost everything you bought for them. They are either stolen, they are picked, and that's where they learn. So you can't train your child. They can't train your child the way you would train your child. You understand the idiosyncrasies. You know the family history. You know everything within your home. You know the conditions through which you gave birth to them. If you are going to tertiary institution, understandable. Let there be some level of parenting that you have been able to say, this is what this child can do at this time.
Yeah, right.
This is what this
I will use myself as an example. I'm a classic example of what happened. My first 2 years, boarding house, as a 10-year-old, I was in Nigerian military school, Zaria. I had to run after my second year. End of the term, you've lost everything. I can't do this. The only time I'm happy is when I wear that uniform and I'm coming back home. End of term. So I understand your points. But let's talk about other educational institutions. Does this apply to polytechnics, monotechnics, College of Education, vocational schools too? Because it's not everyone that wants a university degree.
That's why you see that the minister emphasized that any admission offered outside the central admission processing system will be
illegal.
The reason for this is that ordinarily, JAMB, just like the way you apply abroad to go to schools, ordinarily schools should be able to conduct the admissions themselves. Because the act establishing each institution empowers the Senate, especially in the university system, empowers the Senate to determine admission requirements, how you award degree, even if you are going to retrieve the certificate, that is the power. But the unfortunate thing is that we have more candidates in Nigeria than the space that we have. So in order to at least address that, they created JAMB to do ranking examination. So the exam that JAMB conducts is ranking. That's why you will see that, okay, we have 1.8 million or 2 million sitting exam. What space do we have? Less than 500,000 spaces for all the tertiary institutions that we have. So what do? We have to rank them. Who scores high? And that's why you see 140 for School of Nursing, 150 for universities. Many universities, especially public institutions, will not take anything less than 200. All right. Market. That's normal. They won't take. So it is because some people are going behind the scene. The private institutions that you have, their interest is that they want to have candidates at all costs. So even if you score 150, if not that it was pegged to maybe 100 for Polytechnic, you will see people who will score 80. And they will take them. Because they believe that they are paying and there is no standard. That is why they are maintaining that this standard must be followed. And if you are giving admission to anybody, that admission, you will notice that recently a candidate, a graduate of FUTA, was said to have been denied enrollment. The reason is that they said you cannot go for youth service. The reason is that when that admission was conducted, JAMB believed that it was conducted outside the central admission processing system because they did not follow what was described as the ID system. Look at the best candidate this time now. We are aware that the best UTME candidate is currently a 400 level student, medical student in the tertiary institution. So that one is being probed now. Currently, the guy from Anambra is currently a medical student in a tertiary institution.
So why is he writing jam?
We do not know.
Maybe he wants to change course. He has realized, or he's realized that medicine is not very well.
Exercising his medulla oblongata.
Exactly. He's just trying that.
So these are very interesting.
Or he has realized that medicine is not for him, that he has a different...
He's already in 400 level.
And maybe, you can decide that, you know what,
there are people who just
with the way that they're sending, I don't want to graduate and send me to send
There are reasons behind it.
You know what,
those reasons are not supposed to be discussed.
You know what we're going to do? We're going to bring you back, and we're going to have a special with parents as well. Let's talk about parenting and education, most importantly. You've highlighted some very key areas that I think our society needs to hear.
In defense of that 400 level students, you don't want to graduate and be sent to St. Lucia.
Mr. Monty, Alabi, thank you for being here. Thank you so much. We'll go on a quick break. When we come back, we have a very interesting conversation. It's going to be here, so do us a favor, stay with us. We'll be right back.
Welcome back to Breakfast Central. The Federal Capital Territory Administration was recently criticized following allegations of systemic land grabbing. But what made it gain more attention was the arrest of an FCTA staff accused of leaking internal documents that allegedly implicated the FCT minister in questionable land allocations.
The FCTA says the arrests were for breach of protocol and unauthorized disclosure of classified information, but critics say that this is a crackdown on whistleblowers, not corruption. Joining us to react to this and help clear the air on the allegations is Senior Special Assistant on Public Communications and Social Media for the FCT Minister, Mr. Larry Olayinka. Good morning, and thank you very much for joining us.
Yeah, good morning. Thanks for having me. How are you doing?
Very well, thank you. Thank you for asking. We're glad that you're here and you can help us clarify, this subject matter that has caused a lot of stir. Yesterday, we had one of the lawyers of the man who was arrested. I think, first of all, I'd like to start by asking if you're aware of the arrest of Mr. Mar. Are you aware of the arrest?
Well, I'm not aware of the arrest, but I'm aware that a query was issued to someone. I'm not aware anyone was arrested.
Okay, so the report we have is that he was arrested. Yesterday, we had one of his lawyers, Mr. Adeyonju, join us on the show. And he talked about the man being arrested, taken to an off-site post, and he was detained for a week, and he was being forced to admit that he leaked the documents. And they were saying to him that if he did not admit to leaking the documents, that he would not be released. And he also alleged that this men who carried out the arrest were from the FCT minister. When I asked how he knew they were from the FCT minister, he said because his client told him.
Well, you see, I don't like to respond to lawyers who practice on social media. You see, law, you don't go on television, on social media to defend your client. If you know that the right of someone who is your client has been breached, there are provisions of the law that a lawyer properly trained should follow. And this fellow that you mentioned, I understand his practice, looking for attention. Okay, you have a client, and your client had issue. Your client was assuming they're not conceding. According to you, your client was wrongly arrested and detained. You don't come on social media to begin to ventilate that issues like that. You go to court. The question is, has he approached the court? Because you cannot come on television and begin to say, your client told you this, your client told you this. Go to court and seek redress for your client. That is what properly trained lawyers do.
Well, in response to that, he said that... Yeah, he said that he's in the process of trying to convince his client to, take the matter to court to file a fundamental human rights claim.
Listen. You are in the process of convincing your client. And you're already in the media. You're already making noise. Properly trained lawyers don't function like that. Lawyers are properly trained, not the one that went to school in the night. Like the fellow you just mentioned. What they do is they go to court, they apply the law. This one, okay, you're still convincing your client. And you're already in the media making noise, making allegation, lying against people. The other time, this person was with somebody on a live video. And he had already made noise that the person, the land of the person was taken away wrongly, talking about land grabbing, accusing the minister. And on a live video, the person said the land for which that person was already making noise was allocated to her to be used as a park, recreation park. And the person built a school and a church on the land. And this lawyer was there, still on live video, defending this client, this person. So that's why I said, when you are properly trained as a lawyer, the first thing you do is to go to court, seek legal redress, not come to the media. Let us go to the issue you just mentioned.
Now, Mr.
Let us go to the issue. I've seen documents on your screen. I've seen documents on your screen. One, a document, a RFO, right of occupancy, was issued to Joa Farms Nigeria Limited. Joa Farm Nigeria Limited is a company duly registered in Nigeria. What properly trained journalists do is to go to Corporate Affairs Commission. Come out with the names of the owners of the company and show us where in the CAC document names of any of the minister's children is listed as owner of the company. The two companies, the other one, Jordan's Farm. So because my name is Olayinka now, so when you see a company called Olayinka, that company automatically belongs to me. When you see a company, or because you see Central Nigeria Limited, that company automatically belongs to owners of New Central. So that is why some of us have said that journalists should operate properly. And those of you in broadcast media, especially too, you should also assist to get the public to know, to educate the public with proper information. Okay. A journalist came up with a story. Oh, he has found a story. The minister allocated land, and the first story was that the minister allocated 2,082 hectares of land to one of his children, Joaquin, in Asokoro and Maitama. The entire land mass of Asokoro and Maitama is not up to 2,000 hectares. Combined, the entire land mass where houses have been built. If you know Asokoro and you know Maitama, you come and you should be able to tell the public where even 3,000 to 5,000 square meters of land can be found, land that has not been used in Asokoro and Maitama. There's nowhere. Even Asokoro and Maitama combined is not up to 2,000 hectares. And somebody came up with the story that, oh, the minister allocated 2,800 or 2,882 hectares of land. If you share that land at 500 square meters per plot, it will give you over 41,000 plots. How many houses do we have in Asokoro and Maitama today? And that is the story they want us to begin to react to. And you came up with a document showing Joax Farm Nigeria Limited to mislead the public, to authenticate story. You were talking about the allocation of land in Maitama and Asokoro, and you publish a land allocation document for showing a village in Buhari. That was allocated to Joax Farm for it was listed there, stated for farming, agriculture. I mean, what is wrong when we are talking about food sufficiency in Nigeria? What is wrong about allocating land to a company that want to farm, and you allocated the land, and the land is in a village? And because it is Joac, you concluded, you assumed that the land automatically should belong to Joachim, one of the sons of the minister. The second one, allocated of land, he also for that agricultural process to Jordan. There are companies in Nigeria that are Jordan, Nigeria Limited, Jordan Communication, Jordan this and that. All those companies, too, they belong to Jordan, son of the minister. That's what that's what I've been saying, that people should practice responsible journalism.
Okay, thank you very much for also, laying that groundwork for the conversation that we're having. Part of the allegations, and I did try, I reached out to the CAC. I was going to do a search on both companies to find out who were, who were on the boards. He alleged that there was a certain Chinda who's one of the directors in one of the two companies, and he says that this Chinda is one of the aides of the Minister of the FCT, because I asked him what proof he has to be able to establish this.
Listen, now we are saying two different things. Chinda, okay, one of the aides of the minister. So what now translates to Chinda being the land? Let's assume, but not concede, that the land is owned by Chinda, a Chinda. How is Chinda the same as Jordan? How is a Chinda the same as Joachim? Isn't it the thing that journalists should have found out before going to press? This, okay, let's say you have concluded that you have affirmed that, okay, it should have been the minister allocated land to his aides. That is, if he has a Chinda as aides. The story should have been, oh, minister allocate land to his aide, not to his son. Don't mislead the public. That is what some of us are saying.
Mr. Larry, I mean, although I know your network is not too stable, we're trying as much as possible to ensure that we can hear you.
I'm listening to you. Yeah.
Okay, so this conversation is basically to hear your own side of the story, and I think that's the right thing that journalists should do as regards to what journalists ought to have done before this story broke. Don't forget that as well. This story was in circulation.
No. My brother. Let me just correct this impression. It is not just for journalists to hear the other side of the story. Yeah. Before we even begin to look for the other side of the story as journalists, we should authenticate the story. For instance, if as a journalist you get a report that Mr. A is dead, you should be able to know, okay, certificate of death, which hospital did he die, or rather talk to relatives of Mr. A. Not when Mr. A is not dead, and you now call Mr. A and say, Mr. A, I have a story, they say you are dead, though, and Mr. A say he's not dead, and you now still go ahead and publish the story and say, oh, Mr. A, they say Mr. A is dead, but when you talk to him, Mr. A said he's not dead. To publish the truth.
Mr. Larry, I mean, I'm afraid we seem to have a lot of a network glitch there. We're trying to really get you clearly, but it's not too clear, apparently. That's what we're struggling with. Hopefully, the network can be stable. If you can hear us again, but if you can you hear us?
We're having a bit of an issue.
Let's see if we can fix that.
Yeah, let's hope that we can fix that. While our production team is trying to fix that, we'll now connect with South Africa to bring you an update regarding what's happening with Operation Dudula that has been stopping healthcare being accessed by foreign nationals in South Africa. Bongani Siziba has been bringing us a live update, and we hear there's some sort of a face-off between parties. We hear that the police and Operation Dudula have had a face-off. As you can see in the video, the Operation Dudula officials are standing by the gate, preventing foreign nationals from accessing healthcare, even though these foreign nationals, like the two women you can see here carrying babies, are paying for the service that is being offered. Unfortunately, we cannot. We cannot take Bongani now, but we'll be bringing you updates. We do hear that there's a police standoff or face-off between the both parties.
We also hope to reconnect to Mr. Larry Olainka. We still have quite a lot to discuss with regards to happenings in the FCT and, of course, this case of leaked documents by a member of the FCTA.
Well, if Mr. Leary, I could come back. I do get his understanding and his point that he's highlighted the fact that as journalists, we ought to have been able to do our jobs to ensure that we certify the claims that are being made from the other parties or those who are interested. Have highlighted that.
Okay,
well,
we have Mr. Alanka back.
Okay,
So,
all right.
Yeah.
Mr. Alanka, if you're back, we'd like to know if you can hear us.
Yes.
The network is a lot
Good.
better.
I think this is far better. All right. So you had mentioned clearly that, I mean, we should have been able to get our facts and our claims, but we also want you to bear in mind that that's the more reason why you're here on this platform. These claims were brought forth in terms of explanation just yesterday. And between yesterday and now, my colleague had also mentioned that we've ensured we spoke to our correspondents who are there in Abuja, who are currently still carrying out the investigation. But prior to that, it's only right that we give you a right of response before 24 hours, that you also get to speak. Mr. Leary.
My point, the point I'm trying to make is not to you at New Central.
Okay.
This story was published by a platform, and you are picking reaction from the story, which is normal. And my response is to the platform that published the story. You publish a story saying that land was allocated to Mr. B, and you are using documents stating land allocation to another Mr. C to authenticate. Bear in mind that the public is generally gullible. The moment they see a document, oh, it is a document, government document. A lot of people will not even look at the document. And that's what I've said. The two documents, one, Doas Farm Nigeria Limited. The other document, Jordan Farm Nigeria Estate and Jordan Farm and Estate Nigeria Limited. What should have been done is get to the CAC, bring out names of the directors of these two companies. Because it is people listed as director of a company that will own the properties, that will own the landed property. Not just saying, no, land was allocated to Wike's son. And the other one I said was that you are even saying land was allocated to somebody where that level of land is not available. As at the time the land was allocated, that level of land was not, it has never been available in the last 30, 40 years in those areas. Where will you see 2,082 acres of land, 41,000 plots in Asukuru and Maitama? It doesn't make sense. Then on the issue of the person that you said was arrested, I've said, I'm not aware, but I'm aware that it was queried. It was queried, and whistleblower issue, it also has rules. When you are taking a job, your job has rules. If you are a doctor, you will not go and release medical reports of your patient to journalists to publish. And you now say NMA should not take action against you because you are a whistleblower. As a doctor, you have rules guiding your profession. You must not leak information concerning your patient, except authorized by that patient to the public.
But
if you do that, you must be ready to face the consequences. So if as a civil servant, you willingly leaked official information under your care, you know the consequences. No. We should not come out and also be claiming that we're not talking whether or not the document is related to the story. No. Any document under your care as a civil servant, it is against your rule to release it to the public, to journalists to publish. If you have done that, you should be ready to face the consequences. It's not about one online business lawyer coming to television station to talk what he does not know. That is it.
If I may come in here, and thanks for clearing the air on that. Now, we understand that organizations have rules that govern them, and it's not a free-for-all, and there are consequences for actions. But the person in question has denied leaking any documents in the first place. It was also alleged to have been taken to an off-site location. If he is found foul of the law, the right thing to do is to charge him to a competent court of jurisdiction in the next in 48 hours. So this isn't even following the civil service standard and the constitution of Nigeria. How do you respond to that?
Well, the civil service procedure is to issue a query, and query is not answered in the media. You answer your query in writing, right? That, oh, you did not do it or you did it. That is how it is done. Well, number one, even the query, a query letter, a letter was given to you, and that letter gets to the media. Is it not a confirmation of the allegation against that person? It is a confirmation of that allegation.
How are you sure?
If you were giving query, administrative query, for you to answer quietly and go back to your house, and you choose to, because the query was given to you, not to another person. The only person that could have leaked that query to the media will be you. So it is a confirmation of the allegation against you. And that is why I say that if you have issues, sit down on your own. Don't let people push you into what will put you into further trouble. As I can, between I and you people that are in this studio, if you give query to your staff and you query your staff for leaking official document of News Central Television, and in 1 hour, that query that you gave to your staff, also you begin to see it in the public, what does that tell you? It tells you that that staff is guilty of the allegation against him. It's as simple as that. Because the query was for him to just answer administratively.
Okay, Mr. Larry, I just want to play you this clip, because, I mean, you've made your points, although I think that was a bit below the line by saying that a certain individual is an online lawyer. I don't know how he's going to take it, but he also, while we asked him about you and these claims and all the challenges, and of course the FCT minister, he reacted to this. We want you to take a look.
There is no 2,000 hectares in Metama or Asokoro, and that his children are Nigerians, they can get land. The land, the company that the land was allocated to, in the name of the children of the man. The director is Wike's aide. The land belong, the companies belong to Wike's children. What are we talking about, for God's sake? So we shouldn't be here and look at, it's obvious. Those bosses and search for this company on CAC. Who is the director? The director is Chinda, is Wike's aide. The land belongs to Wike's children, for God's sake. Why are we here and we are acting as if we don't know what is happening in this country? The man has abused his office. Why should you even be allocating thousands of hectares of land for your children? That is the issue. We should not be deflecting or deviating from the issue. And if it is not true, why are you arresting people who you accused of leaking the landed documents, the CFO or the RFO of the document? Well, okay, why are you arresting people if the allegation is not true? We have gone beyond establishing that the land belongs to Wike's children. What we should be talking, because I will not spend quality time discussing facts that are not in issue, issues that are not in controversy. It is established that this land belongs to his children until he brings evidence to the contrary to disprove that this land are not his children. Let the person, his aide, who is the director of the company, let the person come and debunk that the land.
Oh, we are definitely reaching out to him.
If you want me to respond to Lero Larinka, it will never happen.
Okay, no, I'm not
never happen. He that was arrested told us that they came from the FCT minister's office and were asking that, is he so person? He said, yes, he's the one. They just told him that they should go, and they took him upstairs. From upstairs, they took him to the outpost.
All right, Mr. Larry, I'm sure you've gotten that, but I just wanted to focus on the last part where he said that you should be asked to also prove evidence that it doesn't belong to them. I don't know how that will play out.
I mean, just to chip in as well. Just to chip in something as well before you respond.
Let's just land.
Just to chip in something, please, as well, just before you respond. I know you've said that there were no arrests that were made. I know you said that all that was issued was a query. But I'm sure you heard when he said he asked the person, and his client said he asked them, where are you from? And they said they're from the FCT minister. And that doesn't look good on the FCT minister. So do you think that this should be investigated and addressed?
Hello. You don't say that doesn't look good. When a man speaks, you don't take what people say. Somebody came to your studio to say with his own mouth that documents showed, assuming they're not considered, showed that one of the directors of the company is Shinda. Shinda what? Did you ask? You did not. And that person was still saying that it has been established that the land belongs to wicked children. To wicked children. How is, because as a lawyer, in the court deal with evidence, facts. How can you as a lawyer say that, okay, you have evidence that a land is owned by Mr. Shegun, and you are saying because that Mr. Shegun is my friend, that land now belongs to my children? How does that make sense to us, to a lawyer? And that is why I said I don't join issue major normally with lawyers that are not properly trained. And I'm saying this: if this person is properly trained, this person that I saw that you just showed me that spoke, he won't come to the public and say that, oh, he established that a company is owned by a Chinda, for instance, and because that Chinda is one of the aides of the minister. How many aides does the minister have? Not one, not two, not three, not four, not five. And because that land purportedly is in the name of that Chinda, and that land automatically belongs to children of the minister. How does that make sense? How do you even comprehend this coming from a lawyer? Can a lawyer go to court and say this to prove his case and he will win? No, he cannot. The only place this kind of lawyer can practice is in the media to mislead the public. And I've said this. I did not say that the man was not arrested. I said I was not, and I am not aware that he was arrested. I'm not aware. I'm only aware that he was issued a query, which is normal in the civil service. And when they issue you a query, you are to answer, not to take the query to the public, not to take the query to the media. Even if what you were accused of was not true, the one that you have done by leaking the query to the media, it is an offense again. That is what some of us are saying. And why we say some of these things? Because people, we are not saying what some people want to hear. Because we are working in government, whatever we say is no longer important. It's no longer the truth. But at the end of the day, you still come back to what we are saying. To prove ownership of a company, it is the CSC document that can do that. If the CSC document shows names of wicked children, they are over 18 years, so they are qualified to own companies. And as Nigerians, they are also qualified to get land allocation in the FCT or anywhere in Nigeria. We cannot say that because they are children of the minister, their father is a minister, and if they need land in anywhere in Nigeria, they cannot get. That is wrong. They can as well get, just like you and I. But you cannot use document A and B to mislead the public. The documents do not show names of any of the minister's children. That is the truth here.
Okay. I mean, in the same vein,
a competent lawyer should, while he was talking to you in your studio yesterday, he should be displaying CSC documents to show this is the document of the company. Oh, this is the name of the wicked children 1, wicked children 2. Did he do that? He did not. And you did not ask him.
You've made your point, Mr. Alanka. Thank you so much. But we could also say in the same vein that you don't have 100% proof that the documents were leaked by the FCTA staff in question. Because
I have not said, listen, my brother, I have not said the document was leaked by him. Don't misquote. I have not said it.
The query.
I have only said it was queried.
Yes.
And if it was queried, all that he needed to have done was to answer the query and move on.
But you said the query was also
leaked. It was
leaked.
an allegation.
You said the query was leaked by him. And there's no proof to say that the query was leaked, that he leaked his query to the press.
I did not say that. Query was given to you. Only you. And the query is in the press. How did it get to the press?
What if the one who sent the query also? What if the one who sends the query also blind copied others in the email so that they can see what's going on? What if the one who sent the query blind copied others?
What I'm saying is this. What I'm saying is, with this kind of situation, a query was issued to you, and the query gets to the press. The first suspect is you. You are the one that will now say again, I got the query, the query, I did not leak it to the press, that is it. This matter is not a subject for any lawyer to begin to talk in the press. It is between employer and an employee. It is after he has answered the query and he has stated his innocence and he's still being treated as being guilty, that you can now come out, and it is after that, maybe that has been used against him, whether to terminate his employment or whatever. This is when he cannot begin to talk about a lawyer. As of now, it is administrative issues.
All right.
It is issues between employer and an employee. When it gets to a level that he will need a lawyer, he will need a lawyer. That is the level that maybe he has been wrongly punished. As of now, he has not been punished.
All right, Mr. Leroy, thank you for sharing your thoughts about this. You've established that those properties and the documents do not show. We're hoping that that we can get access, because like I mentioned earlier, we tried to access to confirm who the directors of these companies were. Unfortunately, the incorporation site was down. Yes, we tried yesterday. We tried to access it. It was also down yesterday.
And I also want to say that you should have asked that person who claimed to be a lawyer, where is the CSC document? Because as a lawyer, you have access to documents like that. You should have asked him. If he's really a lawyer, he should be able to. That yesterday that came to your studio, he should be presenting those documents, not just talking, not making blanket allegations.
All right, Mr. Leroy, thank you for joining us this morning. We look forward to finding out what the true position is. You've said your side, the other party have said their side, and we hope that the truth officially comes to light. If there was an unlawful arrest, that a charge be made, a fundamental human rights charge be made, and then we get to find out what the next steps are. But thank you for honoring our call and joining us this morning. We look forward to having you again.
Thank you.
Okay, we're going to break now. When we come back, there's more. Please stay with us.
Welcome back. Still Breakfast Central, away from that very heated conversation concerning the situation in the FCTA. Let's see if we can connect with our correspondent, Bongani Siziba, who is currently telling us what's really happening in South Africa. Bongani, you spoke to us earlier on, just an hour ago, if I'm right, and you talked about what's really going on with the foreigners who have not been granted access to medical care. And this is as a result of a very, very strong impact that's coming from the South Africans saying enough is enough. But can you share with us what's happening? We do see behind you quite a few seconds ago that we have security operatives. What's the latest?
Off between the police and the Dudula people fighting foreign nationals who wanted to go inside to get medical attention. I'll move away from the shot so that my colleague Bonello can show you what is happening around here. You can see the police are guarding entrance here because the Operation Dudula is not allowing anyone who is foreign national to go inside. They will be asking for ID or papers. Do you have papers? Do you have documentation to show that you are South African? But with me is one of the Dudula members, again, to speak to us about why they are here and why they are blocking foreigners to go inside and seek medication. Baba Sawubona Unjani, why are you blocking people to go inside to seek medical attention?
We are cleaning the country as Operation Dudula, as umphakathi wasemzansi Africa. The police are on our way. I can even Mr. Mkwanazi, he's doing us right. He must teach them the manners. Illegal immigrant from Zimbabwe. They took her in. Just now, hence we were here. Instead of arresting her, they put her in. There was a bus full of medication. We are blocking here because we are hurtful as citizens of South Africa. We need to stand up and fight for our rights.
But our constitution says that everyone who is in South Africa has a right to medical attention. Why are you guys blocking? Because the constitution is clear.
The constitution is very clear, very much clear. This is our South Africa. This is our South Africa. Here in South Africa, we need the president's attention, so that he can. You cannot. If you are illegal, I cannot do that in Zimbabwe. Because they're in Zimbabwe. They said it's not a banana republic. Are we banana republic here in South Africa? So that they can take medication to go and sell them at their countries? No, it must come to an end. Hence you see the police officers do what they are doing. It's not right, because they are violating our rights. Our constitution, we've got rights to stand here and say enough is enough.
Danny, can you please ask him if he would have acted differently?
Coming out, especially Operation Dudula, saying that they don't want foreigners to access medication in South Africa. As you can see, police that are manning here, you can see they are waiting for those that are coming inside, especially foreign nationals who are being denied to go inside. They are allowing them, but Operation Dudula is saying they don't want foreigners in South Africa. They don't want foreigners to access our medication because the allegations are that foreign nationals are taking medications to their own countries, selling the medications, medication rather, to their own countries, and South Africans are not getting enough medication when they come to clinics like this.
All right, Bongani, thank you so much for that report. I'm sure we'll track back and find out what the update definitely is. But thanks so much for keeping us abreast with what's happening right there, including what's going on with Project Dudula. Thanks for your time. Thank you. Well, let's move on now to our very next story. From deadly clashes to mass displacements, the people of Benue have endured too much for too long. And yet the question remains, where is the political will to end the bloodshed? That's why on Thursday, News Central is hosting a special town hall meeting, a platform for truth, accountability and real answers, where we'll be bringing together security experts, community leaders and government officials to confront the crisis heads-on in Benue State.
What concrete steps is being taken now, not later, to protect lives and restore dignity of the people of Benue State? This isn't just another panel, it's a demand for justice. Join us this morning on Breakfast Central in the build-up to tomorrow's Town Hall series as the directors of the Center for Pre-Degree and Diploma Studies at Prince Abubakar Audu University in Ayingba, Kogi State, Professor Patrick Ukase. A warm welcome to you, Prof. And thanks for joining us on Breakfast Central. Now, we've seen a spike in these attacks. Thank you very much for joining us. Now, we've seen a spike in these attacks in Benue State in recent months. What could you attribute even Mr. President visited Benue State a few weeks ago. What would you say is responsible for this spike? And are all these attacks coming from one source?
Okay, thank you very much. The TV, first and foremost, let me commend News Central for the town hall meeting coming up tomorrow. In the last 1-2 months, News Central has been in the forefront of trying to bring to the world what is happening in Benue. I want to commend the station for a job well done. His Royal Majesty, the TV, was very clear when the president visited Benue State about 3 weeks ago. And he said, what is happening in Benue State, the recent spike in killing of Benue people by suspected headers, is what His Royal Majesty, the Totiv, Professor Ayate, termed as an attempt at land grabbing. He was very, very clear on this, and I appeared on your program on a number of occasions where I tried to provide a historical exposition to the challenges we are facing today. And I made the point, just like the Totif said, that given the richness in land in the area in the Benue Valley, most of the Fulani herders feel that it can be a place for them to stay permanently. And because of that, they have decided to find a way of grabbing land in Benue State. And this has provided an opportunity for them to continue to attack the people within the area. And so basically what we are experiencing is, and this has been on for well over, like I said in our previous program, has been on for more than 15 years. I made the point that for well over 15 years, we've had people in IDP camps in Benue State. And that was why, even ahead of the 2023 election, one of the campaign promises of the present government was that he's going to, ensure that people go back to their respective homes if elected governor. So basically, to make it very clear, it is an attempt at land grabbing.
All right, an attempt at land grabbing. But very soon, we will be gathered there again, talking about News Central, as we look forward to have a town hall series. We do understand that the president also had a town hall meeting, which indeed saw the Totiv, like you've rightly mentioned, speak tough and express his keen displeasure at some of the situations that are indeed leading to the killings and so on. But as one who has followed up with this crisis, would you say that since the president's visitation, there has been some sort of improvement in insecurity, or do you think that it had very little effect?
Well, thank you very much. I think since the president came, there has been relative peace in the state. In the last 3 weeks, Benue State has not been in the news for the negative reasons. You recall that when the president came, he gave marching instructions to service chiefs who were all seated in that town hall meeting to ensure that the perpetrators are arrested. You also noticed that shortly after, a number of them were arrested. It was in the news. The IG of police informed Nigerians that some suspects have been arrested. However, we don't know whether they have been prosecuted. News is still silent. The police is still silent as to what they have done with those who have been arrested. So it is important that the police keep citizens informed about what is happening. Let it not be another tales by moonlight that people have been arrested and then nothing has happened. We want to see prosecutions. Even the president also promised to rehabilitate Yelwata town. I understand that the Minister of Humanitarian Affairs was in Benue a few weeks ago to carry out an on-the-spot assessment with a view to ensuring that rehabilitation commences. And I think that is the right step in the right direction. At the state level, some efforts have also been made. As soon as the attack was carried out, the state government moved the people that were affected to the Makudi International Market, which is not yet in use. I understand that the government is fending for them, and humanitarian organizations are also supporting in providing medical care, food, and other resources. I also understand that the state has been able to jack up the security vote of local government chairmen, particularly in the affected areas. I understand that, although it stands to be confirmed, that 10 million naira is being released to local government chairmen to support security interventions within their respective local government. And so, just yesterday, the state government also launched what it calls Operation Response, Quick Response Squad. I think the intention is to ensure that security agencies, state-owned security architecture is proactive in nipping this in the bud. This is in addition to the already existing security outfit that the state government, launched a year ago. Having said that, I think there is still need for synergy. It is not enough to have a number of security agencies established by the same state government. There is need for the state government to harmonize and ensure that these security agencies are not just on paper, but are there to ensure that the people in their respective communities are safe. And so far, I think there has been relative peace in the state since the president came. And I also think that there is need for the government, the state government, to fully implement the open grazing prohibition law. I think these are key. But so far, there has been relative peace in the state.
Thank you very much for bringing that update. We do hope that the peace is sustained, and we're going to be able to even explore a number of these conversations further. But our correspondent, Akede Bernard, went to the IDP camps, and he spoke with a number of people, and here's what they had to say. Okay, we hope that we can bring that clip where a number of them shared their thoughts about how things are. And then we can have you react to that video. All right, we have it now, yes.
It's getting to 1 month now.
1 month?
Yes.
Okay. And why are you here? What happened that led you to come to this camp?
It's because of the Fulani crisis that they brought us here.
Okay, can you tell us very briefly what happened in which community are you from? What happened in your community that made you come here?
I'm from the Yelawata community. The Fulani crisis that they killed masses of people, so the government sent motor to come and pick us and brought us here.
Okay. And before you came here, what was the condition of your living? How were you living? Your house, your farm? What were the things with you?
We are not more going to farm. We are just staying indoors. No more going far away from your house. So because of that, they attacked us.
Mama is saying that her name is Esther, that she comes from the Yelawata community. And I asked her what brought her here. She said the crisis, the Fulani crisis, brought her here. They burnt down her house and every other thing. And that's why she's here.
There you have it, correspondent Bernard Akede speaking to some of the internally displaced persons in Benue State. And we still have Professor Akase with us to unpack the situation in Benue State ahead of our New Central Town Hall series. Now, Prof, you saw the clips of a few of the internally displaced persons in Benue State. What would you say is the conditions of this IDPs? Is the government, you did mention that the current governor, Reverend Father Hyacinth, earlier, one of his campaign promises is to return IDPs to their homes, and now we're seeing more people join this IDP camp. At what point do you think we'll be able to reverse this trend and nip this situation in the bud once and for all, so people can go back to their farming and their normal lives? Because, yes.
Farming season, and like she rightly said, even when they were home, they couldn't go to their farms. And we are already in July. You can imagine the implications for family economy and the economy of the nation when people that are supposed to provide the food or produce the food that we eat are in IDP camps. No matter how convenient the IDP camps may be, it can never be the same as home. There is a study we did some years ago, which we titled From Home to Homelessness. So these are people that were living conveniently in their homes, taking care of themselves, carrying out their respective businesses, suddenly finding themselves in IDP camps. And so what they do every day is to wait for government to provide food and basic needs, or some humanitarian organizations to provide handouts for them. This can be so inconveniencing, and sometimes it is better imagined that you have people in this type of nation. Mind you, the Makurdi International Market is still yet to be put in use. It's an empty space for now, but you can imagine how inconveniencing it will be for a number of persons to stay there for this while. And that is why it is important for the federal government to take active steps in ensuring that these people return back to their homes and continue their respective businesses. I'm glad that you are going to have a town hall meeting tomorrow in the state, and it will give the government an opportunity to respond to the humanitarian crisis and tell us some of the efforts they are putting in place to ensure that these people go back to their respective homes. But I think the federal government promised to ensure that it is rehabilitated. I should also note that this is not just in Yelwata. For instance, in my local government, and I made the point last time, West local government area of Benue State, out of the 15 council wards we have, 13 have been sacked. They have all moved to the local government headquarters where they are living in various IDP camps. And so attention has shifted to Yelwata because it happened there. Government will need to take a holistic view and provide a lasting solution to the problem such that we don't address one area and leave the other area. The same thing is also happening in other parts of the state. We have similar challenges in Zone C, particularly in Idoma, Agatu axis. In Kwande local government area of Benue State, we have a number of IDP camps, and of course, in Sankara axis of the state, where we have about 3 local governments. So it is important that government takes a holistic view of the challenges that we face so that it doesn't appear as if we are addressing one issue or one area and allowing the other ones to continue to suffer.
All right. Thank you so much, Prof, for speaking with us. Let's see what tomorrow would bring. We're quite excited because the News Central's Town Hall series has been indeed a very strong force to reckon with when it comes to highlighting some of the societal ills and issues. And we always look forward to filling the polls of the people and proffering solutions. And we hope that you're going to make it there as well tomorrow. Thank you so much. Thanks for your time.
Very much. Thank you so much for having me.
All right. We'll go on a quick break. When we come back, the front pages of the newspapers is up next. So do us a favor, stay with us and get your fingers itchy and ready to dial so you can also share your thoughts on what the stories are.
Welcome back to Breakfast Central this morning, and it's time to find out what big stories are making headlines this morning. Join us to analyze and dissect the biggest stories in the newspapers as public affairs analyst Olusegun Okwade. A warm welcome to you. Thanks for joining us on the newspaper headlines.
Good morning and good morning, Joe. It seems to be the hardware production this morning.
Yeah, very hardware.
Yeah, I mean, all of it is at the other studio, trying to ensure that she can actually catch up with a story we're following. So hopefully she tracks back to us.
She's doing the work of the Lord.
Yeah.
Yeah, but let's start with a lot of interesting stories here, but we should start with the This Day newspaper. The headline says, Damagun to disloyal PDP members, leave our party now, talking tough. And then Bloomberg, some good news, says, Naira breaks away from oil as confidence in federal government reform grows. Naira appreciates to 1,540 Naira to a dollar on the parallel market. If you recall, it's been as high as 1,600, and sometime last year or 2 years ago, it actually got to 2,000 Naira a dollar. So some rare good news there. ADC, Tinubu's failure behind US snob. APC, ADC is mortally wounded. Some back and forth there. Mark, and the writer says, Mark declares party has no preferred presidential choice, pledges transparency. Lukman, coalition won't hand over structures to Atiku, Obi, Amechi. Others says Kachuku long expelled. Idris, coalition backers bias over alleged reform stagnation. I want us to look at this story by the ADC saying Tinubu's failure behind US NOM. So tomorrow, 4 African heads of states, Senegal, Guinea-Bissau, Gabon, and Mauritania will be visiting the United States and sitting down with President Trump for lunch. And people have been pointing to the fact that, you know, that how can the giant of Africa, Africa's largest economy, be snubbed from that event, that it's a testament to the failure of the APC government. Do you interpret it that way, or you see it different? Does America set the standard and the benchmark for who is developing and who's not? Because Tunisia is not there, Egypt is not there, South Africa is not there. Does it mean that they're not doing well in their countries?
Benga, thank you very much, because you asked the question and you provided some direction.
And I answered it. Now I'm giving you his holistic view, holistic question.
Because I was about to tell you that first and foremost, the way I would say this is my personal view. We seem most of the time to overrate America with certain decision that is actually going on.
So the embassy might be watching this.
Well, it doesn't really.
Are you not afraid of a visa?
With visa, my country is fine for me. I beg. If we have to go there, we'll go there and spend our money. Let truth be told. We go there. You won't get to America and they are giving me free money. I'll work for my money there. When you go there, everybody that is there is working. So if they give you visa to go and stay there, you're working and you're growing the economy. So I can do the same in my local environment. So because anytime you want to travel, they give you the visa, you pay for your flight. Even the visa they're giving you, you pay for it. So it's not a free thing. But what I'm saying is that you look at the context and the people that are actually being invited. I was about to say that before you took it out of my mouth, to say, when you look at some of the countries in African continent with strong, economic base, you look at Egypt, you look at Kenya, you look at even Rwanda, you ask yourself, what is the motive of Trump, asking for this? And I take a look at possibly this BRICS agenda. Maybe he has actually put in place to say Nigeria is not actually a place to go. But you ask, what value proposition would this actually give after the meeting? Those are areas we want to look to. And if you don't forget, a lot of us have criticized that Mr. President should look inward, stay with us, create and give us the respite that we needed as a country, and minimize the level at which you go for this global space, because we've not actually gotten that expected value of all some of this visit is saying. We can domesticate a lot of things within ourselves, and that's why you see some of the reforms we're saying is how can we actually move around. A lot of people have criticized that IMF gave kudos for some of this reform started working. We've seen, and some of us are picking it up with the government to say it's not about the paper reforms. We are monitoring on the implementation, because as far as the country is concerned, our major problem is always implementation, because there are a few things that are actually the problem. One, corruption. People will start now. You will see the real thing that are actually there, and people are looking for a way to circumvent that for their personal gain. And when that happens, most of the time we take our eyes off it, which is the corruption we're talking about, and tends to now be punishing just the fiddles that are actually not impacting on that particular policy. That's just the major problem. That Mr. President is actually not being invited, to me, personal, is a win. Because we are not going to spend so much to go there, just sit and have lunch with Mr. Trump without having a direct impact.
It might even use you to, like they say on the street, to cut trips, because we've seen what happened to visiting heads of state in the last few months. Zelensky went there, it was almost a shouting battle. Yeah. And then the South African president went there, it was an ambush. He started playing in videos, fake news. It was an ambush. So I'm looking forward to seeing this it's almost like it's the principal is summoning you to come and give them, and then 4 of them would leave their business and go sit down there. And look, I'm not predicting, just watch what we'll discuss on Friday. Let's see what happens with those 4. And then what's the commonality between these countries? You have Mauritania, Guinea-Bissau, you have Senegal and Gabon. So how did he even come about choosing this country?
Well, he knows the criteria at which he has actually used to pick them. What we are after is, we have said it, that Mr. President should minimize his flying out to great disengagement. We need him more at home to monitor some of the work he has given to his people, to make sure that we have. I saw the smile on your face saying that the Bloomberg is telling us that the Naira is coming to. We want to wake up maybe in the next 2-3 months. Here that dollar has actually crashed to about 700.
I mean, petrol is now
830 naira. So we can let's start feeling the, but then we can say this reform is not just that of the paper, but we are saying it because we know it's not going to be a drastic drop. It's going to be a gradual thing that would start feeling the pulse. So let's start saying that, and I don't think Nigerians will be ready. We don't want a situation where this thing will go down because election is coming. And when you now come back to the main ride, everything will go back to status quo. And you ask what suddenly happened in the midst of this. Let it just be the real reform, because a lot of us believe in the fiscal and tax reform, and the handshake between the monetary arm and the fiscal arm, having an handshake. Don't forget, large administration, the monetary people do not even have understanding of what the fiscal team are actually doing. And you hear, I'm actually reporting to Mr. President, and I'm taking directive from Mr. But here, we have an handshake between Cardoso and
coordinated.
well coordinated, and we can see the dividends.
What do you make of the 5 million naira, and the banks now have the duty to alert the federal government if you receive 5 million naira consistently in your account?
Well, that has been there with the financial institution, under the Financial Institution Act, to report certain amount. I know, I think it was 2 million for individual. I can't, assertively, get that value.
But this is for tax purposes now.
Yeah, it's just for reporting. So when you have 5 million, because see, the area people are going, I've not seen the gazetted this thing. The MSMEs now have a relief, I think, to the tune of over, to the tune of 100 million.
100 million.
A lot of people, what they will do now is, you try to manage your business in such a way that you don't exceed that.
Please pause, don't give this scope. Let's talk.
No, it's
don't give the expo.
It's the truth. Don't forget, the other people on the other side, they understand the scope.
They understand the scope.
So they are Nigerians too. So it's not that we are inviting a UK person to come and do it.
What about the other scope of open this company quickly, open this one. When this one is getting to 90, quickly.
But there is going to be a synergy between CAC, the NRS, the DAS, and all those things. Have a link. And from what the chairman of the policy said, this idea of TIN number and the likes, no, we are going to have a unique number as an entity and individual. So
almost like a BVN.
Like BVN, So you have one, and it transcends across every of the businesses you're doing.
Yes.
As an individual, you open like 5. So we know, Joe, you open this, you open this. Okay, it's good you open all those.
So if you think you are smart, the government is ahead.
See, the crop of people that we have at the fiscal team are not the usual civil servants. They are people that have been outside the folks.
Yes.
Understand it.
Mr. Olede of PwC, exactly.
And you have the likes of, when you look at the academia, you have the likes of Professor Sodi is there. From the north, you have the Omar, you have Jomi Olugbe, the big fours are there. So they know the in and out, the cuts that you want to make. And when you take that step, they are like 5 steps ahead. And that's part of what we're saying, that as government, what we need is that we need people who understand policy. Give the policy, not that it is the private sector that dictates how the policy will run. It is government that should dictate the team. When you have the right set of people that understand those things, and for the private sector, you just go to bed and sleep, because now they are streamlining some of those taxes. You can plan. You are now having the Nigerian Revenue Service bringing all other revenue board. So it's not that MPA is collecting this, and FRS is collecting it, custom is coming, immigration is coming. You can now streamline under one revenue board and say, no, all these taxes are not, all these tariffs are not. This is just the one we want to give to business owner and everything.
But the implication of this is the government is going to get a lot more revenue.
Of course, because you have more confidence to pay. The other area where we have been engaging, I have been engaging the committee, is the judicious utilization of this thing.
But that's it's not under their purview. Their own is to collect this money.
The area where we are calling them to talk to this is to say, cry out when this implementation is not working the way you are planning. Because I know on the part of the politician, they will whistle it. They are already saying that this thing seems to be tilted towards the high end and the high network people.
Exactly.
You understand?
Exactly.
And they are the same set of people that have the power to whistle the policy and make it to go down the road. So it's just to my people to say, when things are not working the way as planned, let's cry it out and let people know that you've done your bit. And this is where we are. This is the bottleneck we are faced with. Because we must make things work as a country.
All right. Great sound analysis there as we look at that ahead of what's going on. Let's go to another paper very quickly because of our time. We'll move straight to another newspaper. Let's see if we can catch the Punch. The Punch there. Natasha postponed Senate return as NAS awaits apology. Yesterday, it was a grand entrance that they were expecting.
Well, they got a grand disappointment.
But, I mean, when will she stop rewriting her own stories? Because she's always rewriting it. Don't come to the state. She won't follow the script. Don't worry, no statement, and all of a sudden, helicopter. Now, we're expecting you to come to the house. We are ready for you to come and apologize. Guess what?
Because there are conditions to that. She hasn't done the apology part.
No, sure. Anyway, let's talk about that. Let's talk about Natasha before we go to other stories.
Yeah, I feel for Natasha, we should just put this behind us. People, most especially the women, had advocated with the platform at which they have in order not for them to be shut out of this. I saw one of the headlines, was it yesterday or this morning, talking about increasing the number of is it National Assembly and giving like 10% to the female, to the women. It's the right thing, but we must do the right thing. For me, we have over-discussed this issue. Next, if Natasha needs to come, if you need to apologize, please, let's go ahead, do that, because I am considering the fact that you are representing a constituency. So what actually are you lending in the voice? Because what you are passing to the people is that whether you are in or not, things will move on without you and your constituency. Whether you are there or not, things will definitely, it's either they are losing out or they are gaining. So let us just take the ball. If you need to apologize, I'm sure we want apology too from the other party to say, well, things have actually gone on. You are sorry, you've tendered your apology, we are sorry. Yes, and let's move on.
I like what you did here.
Hold on a bit. We have a call from Chudi from Lagos. Let's take that call. Hello, Chudi. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning, Benga, and the rest of the people in the studio. Yes, I want to talk about Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan, the judgments we're talking about. We have to make some things clear. The judgment, even though ambiguous, but a bit clear. Natasha is not apologizing to the Senate. I hope we are getting this right. She is not apologizing to the Senate. She's apologizing to the court for this, for not abiding by the rule. Do not comment again on this matter. And she went out and posted an apology on her. That is, let us understand, she's not apologizing to Senate President or Senate. She's apologizing to the court for going against the order. And if the Senate are expecting her to come and apologize to them, it's not, they shouldn't do that because it's not for them. And I expect the Senate, this Senate, to be matured. It seems this Senate, they are not matured. Leaving the things they are supposed to do for Nigerians, looking out for expecting apology from the Pacha. I think we've gone beyond this. And this case is not even the main case. The sexual abuse case is not yet up. I hope you know that. We are just dealing with the substance of all that cases. We are not in the real case. So let them not be in a hurry. They want to persecute her. You know Nigerian men, African men. They have left. They want to. The Nigerians are watching. We are watching. We want to see this case. And every Nigerian is waiting to see how this case will go on. Sexual harassment is very, 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 very rampant. If you go to the ministries, you see what I am telling you. It's very rampant. So since we have a case study and a man like a Senate president being involved in whether he's right or not, but the fact remains that his name was mentioned, and we have other cases where his name has been mentioned. The Nigerians want to hear the result. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Judy, for your contribution.
Thank you. I think it's highlighted a very key point. The apologies, like you said,
to the court.
To the court.
Fine. Let her fulfill that if that has not been done. What we are actually advocating for here is let her return back to Senate and represent the people that voted her in to represent them at the Senate and make our own contribution as a woman in Senate and also as a senator that is actually representing people. I think that's the route to go. What we need more is governance and deliverable on the part of the people that are leading us, not some of these accusations we are hearing forth of.
No, still on the front page of the Punch newspapers. 2025 admission, JAMB sets 150 as benchmark bars on the 16th.
I think shaking your head. You don't like that?
I mean, when we wrote JAMB, it was 270. So is it that standards are dropping, or JAMB has realized that the children of these days, the digital natives that were born into the internet, are more distracted? So we should cut them some slack and, bring the cutoff mark to 150.
When I saw that headline, the only thing that came to mind is very soon we will even scrap JAMB themselves.
That's
what comes to mind.
That was said by someone as well just 2 days ago.
Yeah, we will soon scrap them because they are losing their relevance. If those days when you have over 400, people can eat as hard as cutoff mark. I remember my first exam. I think I could not have that first admission because I think I had about, was it 280 something, and they were like, no, it has to be like 300 for the course that you're actually doing. So it's those days, the pedestrian, I don't think we've gone below 250. Those days you have to have 270, 280, and you are proud that those things are. So if we are now reducing the threshold,
because people are failing, there's mass failure.
If people are failing, if there is mass failure, if you have not reduced the standard, it's just like professional body coming to say that they will whittle down the level at which they are doing because you want to recruit more journalists or you want to recruit more accountants or tax. That does not imply. How are we going to match up? Yeah, how are we going to match up the standard? It starts from the entry level with international best practices. So when you just recruit people that could not study to pass the entrance exam and you now bring them to school, so what do you expect of them when they now get to that school? So you must get those, because if you go and check, you still have people who score as high as over 300, 320, 340, because they are dedicated to the studies. They feel that this is all I have to say. I always tell in my profession, I saw a young boy of less than 20 qualifying as a chartered accountant, and I asked, this is a guy that said he doesn't even have a phone to himself. It is this malasa. He doesn't brag. All he concentrates on is studies. He said, I will buy those things in the nearest future when I bought. What I have to concentrate more on now is sacrifice all those things and face my studies. And at the 20 you are becoming. So for me, reducing this is, we are bringing down the standard. Entry level is always, look at when they are doing recruitment. Do they make the entry level that easier? No. You first have to pass that ordeal. When you now meet with the people to have maybe an oral interview, we want to now see what you are made of. Not just reducing that. By the time you have 150, then everybody come inside. That we had those adverts, those days of the bar, everybody come inside. Then you start encouraging cultism, non-serious minded, you know, everybody just have to go because they have to go. No, as far as I'm concerned, I'm not a fan of that. If the federal level is low, what that depicts is that we have few people that actually want to. Then let's now encourage maybe the technical school, vocational schools, where people who cannot make up with. University shouldn't be for everybody. You should be prepared to actually go. Then vocational, because a lot of people may not be caught up for this university.
But in fairness to JAM,
a
lot of these tertiary institutions, the universities also have an assessment test. There's post-UME. So if JAM allows you to go through 150, they will cut you off at that.
Why are you raising the hope of somebody when you know? People like me have criticized this post-UME of a thing to be done. Why we didn't do post-UME, I didn't do post-UME, just one JAM, and I was able to have it there. Why are we creating bottleneck and overburdening the parents? Which standard are you setting that we cannot come together? All the VCs come together and say this is the standard.
I don't think you can go to University of Lagos with 150.
So, but if JAM says, okay, we are giving you admission to Unilag with 150, you're now getting there. Your parents, my son now have admission. You get to the other side. They said, okay, they brought you in, but sorry, we cannot even allow you to sit for our entry and post-UME because that is not even our own threshold of accepting students into that thing. So I feel that the crop of the VC should sit down, see how they can annex with the JAM, if the relevance will still be there, and say this is the threshold that we are expecting. Because I know
do you think this was an arbitrary decision by JAM? Don't you think they would have consulted widely?
Well, if they have consulted widely, that means the institution that is expecting this student post UTME exam, they are just waiting for them, collect the money and say, no, we are sorry, those things will not happen. I feel we should not raise I'm seeing it as double standard of giving admission with 150 and you may not be able to even sit for the post-UTME on the other side. I know some people might come up with you to say there are some students who had that exam under an environment that is not conducive. If you give them the platform, they might now pass the UTME. But I want a situation where you can unify the process like we used to have those days, where you sit for JAM. Once JAM does not give you, jumps you down, you go back and re-enroll and know that this is the focus. Otherwise, because if JAM is saying 150 as a cutoff, you know there are some regions now, their own will be 100.
Yes. Like the north has always been lesser.
Don't talk that one.
No, it's a matter of fact.
It's there.
So when you because those days when it is 270, 250. Those areas you with 150, 170. Now you are bringing it to 150. Expect like 100, 80 in those regions. So what standard are we setting? Is to now tell us that let's scrap JAM, let everybody go and if you want to go to school,
who they admit,
who they want to admit or who they will not admit.
Okay, let's still go back. U.S. cuts Nigeria's visa validity to 3 months.
They say they've been reciprocal.
3 months, 6 months. The other time you said...
I hope you know that when you travel now, you have to come back quickly.
For those that want to, if I travel is for vacation, that's on my part. Because I have a lot of things.
You're already tired after 2 weeks.
The truth of it is you have a lot of things calling for your attention. Most of the time when I'm out on vacation, you see this, they always ask me, sorry, are you on working leave? Or which one? Because you can't leave the gap there in here. There are things that are changing on daily basis that you need to just plug in. Otherwise, you come in, that money you've gone there to spend, you just be looking at yourself that why did I even travel at this point in time? So if they are reducing it to 3 months, everybody have their focus of traveling. Those that are traveling for vacation will not exceed 1 month. Those that have things that they are doing in the country, even as we say, is that really serious. Look at some of those big officials in so many organizations. 1 week, they're back. You ask yourself, why are you traveling for? You say, I just need to cool off. If it's for vacation, just go 1, 2 weeks, come back and face the business. And that's why we are putting government on their toes. Make our environment conducive for us to stay back. We are blessed with all the resources you can talk about. The intellectual is also there. let's make this place go back to those old days when UI used to be where foreigners. What Mr. President did at St. Lucia, we've had it in time past where we have foreigners.
Maybe that the president was trying to bring back what used to happen in time past.
We must see the roadmap. Yeah, locally.
Maybe he missed it, so he felt like. Because if he can do that, bring the students back to St. Lucia, maybe he's also thinking of bringing the foreigners back to the Nigerian Premier League.
That can happen if our politicians are serious-minded about this. If it has happened before, the difference is that we are not concentrating on those things that we should do locally. Even when they say localize things, even the leaders are promoting the foreign part of it. If you can localize it, majority of the doctors you see are out there, they are there because system works. You pay taxes, you are not doing extra activity for yourself as an individual. Power are provided, water are there. Even if you need to pay for those things, they are there being provided for by the government. So it's not your headache to provide some of those things. So that are the things that we say they should do. Our universities are there. Bring up the infrastructure in such a way that you can attract, you can allow our students enough of ASU strike. As ASU is going, coming back, NASU is going.
They were about to go on a strike yesterday. They've not received their June alert.
Their June alert?
Yeah.
No, if it is June
they've actually, he's given a directive that nobody should teach.
That strike on its own. It's just that you've not actually shut down the process. So when you're saying, but you ask yourself, people that are supposed to respond to that, it's not Mr. President. What is Mr. President doing? Don't say, it's a phone call. Who is supposed to do this? Has it been approved by the
minister?
That's what I'm saying now. Yeah. Call the minister. The minister has somebody who is managing that particular portfolio under his ministry. What is actually, we should not allow every problem to escalate to Mr. President. If your people are not doing what is expected of them, that's why in this organization, we are doing what if you are not doing what you're expected to do, I'm sure you have a query on your table. Absolutely. When we have ifs of query piled down for you, maybe after 4 or 5 times, we try to tell you that
it's so nice doing business.
The MD will tell you that it's nice doing business. I can't continue.
I know you are talented.
You are well gifted. I think you can
try move to that other station that start with G.
I don't know what you're saying, Benga. I'm not part and parcel of this.
But before we let's try and make judicious use of our 5 minutes. 5 minutes left with a daily independent.
Yeah.
I want us to go straight to this. Why we adopted ADC instead of forming new party by the former secretary to the government of the Federation under President Buhari Babachir Lawal. In an interview yesterday, and I think it's, I expected him to be more gracious. A reporter asked him a question and he told that reporter to shut up. I thought that was really not nice. Well, on this coalition issues. And Senate pledges not to joke with concurrence bills from reps. The House of Reps, if you recall, a few weeks ago, were threatening not to pass any bill from the Senate, saying that the Senate doesn't even, like by second reading, they toss out all their bills. Now they're saying to pass more tighter disciplinary rules. Okay, they're saying now that they will not joke with concurrence bills from the House of Reps. Ignore noisemakers. We're not planning to expel Obi, says Labour Party. I'm wondering who said this, because Mr. Arabambi was here last week and was threatening fire and brimstone, saying he's a gunner. Now somebody else is saying we are not in a hurry we don't plan to expel Obi.
They said they give him 48 hours. It's over now.
It's over
since he came. Today is going. We're going to 72.
And they said he will leak out some information that will be damaging to his reputation.
I think you should just react to that. We don't have time.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Yeah, you see this issue of coalition, whatever we want to call it.
Or who is staying, who is going, Waka or stay.
I think one thing is fundamental.
Yes.
One thing is fundamental. You can't be with 2 parties at the same time. So this, because a lot of politicians have come and said, no, it's coalition. We are only using ADC platform to galvanize. We will still stay in our party. That is not the grounds to go. If you are in ADC is a party of its own. Choose one and face it. Not that I'm in this and you want to go. So tomorrow we want to galvanize and use this platform to move. And we seem to have a lot of confusion, which a lot of us who are not politicians, expected to happen, because it's like different children with different mothers. They can't have the same orientation. So everybody is coming with his perspective of actually having a hold of what
strange bedfellows.
You know, so what we have always been asking for and will continue to ask for, that we want a formidable opposition that can actually, you know, objectively criticize the current administration and give the citizen the right thing that is expected of them, irrespective of the party, irrespective of the people concerned, is to put the government and say, this that you are actually doing, we give kudos that this will be, but this is our own contribution to that which you're doing. This that you have done, we are criticizing it because objectively we have analyzed it. If we are in your shoes,
but we seem to focus a lot on personalities. We're not even talking, nobody's talking policies or that this government has done bad. Okay, what next?
What next? What have you highlighted that can be done?
You know, this reminds me, you're also an MC. You wear different hats. I don't know if you've MC'd some of these events where there's a dancing competition and then they say, Wakao State, they ask the audience. So it's giving that vibe. It's giving Wakao State vibe. Oh, you don't MC those kind of events, Joe? Let's top-notch MC. You don't do Wakao State.
Thank you for coming. I like your analysis, and I think I'm going to use it tomorrow. I mean, that's what it's reeking of that. Everybody, yay! Come on.
Thank you so much, Mr. Olusegun.
It's been a great time to start the day with you.
All right, thank you guys for joining us here on Breakfast Central. That's it on Wednesday's edition, Wednesday's broadcast of the program. We'll come back again tomorrow. Make sure you tune in. I'm Joe Hansen.
And I'm Benga Bora. And on behalf of all Informati doing the work of the Lord behind the scene, we also wish you a fantastic day. Jasir is up next. Bye-bye.
Bye.